Chu Fan unexpectedly reincarnated, binding himself to a sign-in system and becoming the peak master of the Daoyi Sect, starting off with Quasi-Emperor cultivation. He enjoyed a leisurely life on XuLing Peak, signing in monthly. Ding, sign-in successful, awarded 1 Bodhi divine tree. To his astonishment, he had drawn the legendary spiritual root. Over the past 20 years, his monthly sign-ins had yielded cultivation, comprehension, and techniques, but this time he had received the Bodhi divine tree. The Bodhi divine tree is one of the 4 great spiritual roots of the XuLing realm, a legendary entity. It is said that cultivating beneath the Bodhi tree can lead to miraculous effects, allowing one to experience a millennium of cultivation in the blink of an eye. Not to mention the enhancement of one's aptitude through Bodhi seeds. Chu Fan gazed excitedly at the Bodhi divine tree, planted by the system atop XuLing Peak. 25 years ago, Chu Fan traversed to the XuLing realm, reborn as a newborn infant. By a stroke of fortune, he caught the attention of the peak master of XuLing Peak, who brought him back to Daoyi Sect for cultivation, making him the sole disciple of XuLing Peak. With the help of the sign-in system. At merely 25 years of age, his power had reached unfathomable heights, mastering various supreme techniques and divine abilities, while on the surface, he appeared to be only at the first level of the Holy King realm. A year prior, the peak master of XuLing Peak announced his intention to retreat into seclusion, passing the vast XuLing Peak to Chu Fan, who naturally became the new peak master, the youngest in the Daoyi Sect's history. This decision met with no objections from the sect leader Guan Tianyue and other elders, presumably due to the prior peak master's influence. Is Chu Fan present? A powerful voice resonated from the foot of XuLing Peak. As the voice faded, a tall and imposing figure appeared before Chu Fan. Master Guan, do you require my assistance? Chu Fan greeted him with a radiant smile. Guan Tianyue, the senior brother of Chu Fan's master, was affectionately referred to as Master Guan by Chu Fan. The disciple recruitment ceremony of Daoyi Sect is in 2 days. Your XuLing Peak stands solitary. It is time to find a few disciples. Your master is indifferent to worldly affairs. I do not concern myself with him, but you must cultivate some disciples to ensure XuLing Peak has a future. With that, without waiting for Chu Fan's response, Guan Tianyue vanished in an instant. Throughout their conversation, he had failed to notice the serene Bodhi divine tree not far away. Ding. Task triggered. Please recruit a disciple within 5 days. A generous reward will be granted upon completion. A task has arrived. Chu Fan had thought the system required only monthly sign-ins, unaware of the disciple recruitment mission. For over 20 years, he had remained within the confines of XuLing Peak, having ventured no further than the sect's grand hall. In Daoyi Sect, apart from the elders and a few elite disciples, hardly anyone knew of his existence. Master Guan's words were indeed sound. It would be beneficial to accept a few disciples. Chu Fan resolved to do so, but before that, he needed to refurbish XuLing Peak. The sudden appearance of Guan Tianyue had nearly exposed Chu Fan's secret, prompting him to decide to re-establish the protective measures of XuLing Peak. With a grand gesture from Chu Fan, an invisible array enveloping the entire XuLing Peak ascended into the sky. This was a sacred-level formation, a convergence of illusion, confinement, and lethal arrays. Without Chu Fan's consent or the corresponding incantations, anyone who ventured within would endure endless torment. Subsequently, Chu Fan's fingers danced in the void, and a magnificent lake emerged at the foot of XuLing Peak, its azure waters reflecting the sunlight like a colossal mirror, accompanied by an exquisite pavilion on the shore. At the entrance of XuLing Peak, Chu Fan constructed a grand gate, through which all future visitors would pass. Time swiftly flowed by, and before long, the day of the Daoyi Sect's disciple recruitment ceremony arrived. At this juncture, it is essential to introduce the fundamental aspects of the Daoyi Sect. The XuLing realm comprises 4 vast continents: the southern wilderness, eastern continent, central land, and the far north. Aside from the boundless expanse of the far north, the other 3 continents teem with countless inhabitants and various beings. The Daoyi Sect is one of the 8 sacred sects of the eastern continent, ranking 6th, a position neither particularly high nor low. Although Chu Fan seldom ventured beyond his abode, he was still privy to some information. While the Daoyi Sect publicly claims the 6th rank, its true strength is such that even a united front of the other 7 sacred sects might struggle to contend with it. The Daoyi Sect is adept at preserving its secrets. From the inner disciples to the sect's venerable ancestors, all practice the concealed arts passed down from the founding masters, rendering their true realms nearly undetectable unless deliberately revealed. The Daoyi Sect is divided into inner and outer sects, with the inner sect comprising 11 peaks. Excluding Chu Fan's XuLing Peak and the Holy Master Peak where the sect leader resides, the other peaks include Qixia Peak, XiLing Peak, XuLing Peak, Zuwufeng Peak, Fuxiang Peak, Tianju Peak, Huangqi Peak, Tongyuan Peak, and XuLing Peak, all overseen by 9 elders. As one of the 8 sacred sects of the Eastern continent, the Daoyi Sect's disciple recruitment ceremony naturally attracted countless young men and women eager to become apprentices. When Chu Fan arrived at the square, the foot of the Daoyi Sect was already bustling with people, numbering in the hundreds of thousands. Chu Shitsi, you have arrived. The elders greeted warmly upon seeing Chu Fan, all of whom were contemporaries of his master, 7 men and 2 women, all his martial uncles. Chu Fan nodded in acknowledgement. Now that all the elders are present, let the disciple recruitment ceremony commence, commanded Guan Tianyue, and a bell resonated throughout the square, signaling the start of the test. To join the Daoyi Sect was relatively straightforward. One merely had to ascend the thousands of stone steps from the foot of the mountain to the summit to become a disciple. Exceptional talents might catch the attention of the elders, who would take them under their wing as prospective inner disciples. Upon reaching the requisite strength and passing the sect's trials, they could ascend to inner disciples or even elite disciples. As for those not chosen, they would begin as outer disciples, diligently cultivating and striving to advance through the ranks. With the test underway, the young aspirants at the foot of the mountain ascended the stone steps with eager hearts, each nurturing dreams of becoming a disciple of the Daoyi Sect. Observing the unfolding trend, it would take at least another day for disciples to reach the summit. Chu Fan sat with his eyes closed, meditating, while the other elders were intently focused on the young boys and girls ascending the steps, already contemplating potential disciples. Chapter 2. The petite figure. After a day and a half, a participant finally reached the mountain's peak, guided by a disciple of the Daoyi Sect, and arrived at the central square to await further instructions. This participant was a strikingly handsome youth, around 15 or 16 years of age, brimming with vigor. A gleam of pride illuminated his face upon realizing he was the first to conquer the summit. The other elders nodded in satisfaction, refraining from remarks regarding the boy's pride. At such a tender age, it was only natural to feel a sense of accomplishment for such a feat. As time passed incrementally, more individuals reached the summit. By the afternoon of the second day, over 5,000 out of 100,000 participants had successfully completed the climb, while the remainder had failed to pass the trial. The conclusion of the first test indicated that these 5,000 participants were now considered disciples of the Daoyi Sect. Subsequently, the second test, a talent evaluation, was to commence, discerning which exceptional disciples might catch the elders' eyes. As the second test was about to begin, Chu Fan's attention was drawn to a petite figure on the stone steps. As other participants descended in defeat, this small silhouette persevered, gritting her teeth and laboriously climbing higher. Her determination captivated Chu Fan, for she was devoid of any cultivation, in stark contrast to the other competitors, who possessed at least some degree of strength. The girl bore no remarkable traits. She was clad in exceedingly plain attire, beads of sweat clung to her forehead, and her round face flushed with exertion. With a third of the ascent still ahead of her, the other elders also took notice of the young girl, surprised that she was still pressing on. There's no need to wait for her. Let us commence the second test. If she makes it, she can join us, Guan Tianyue remarked after a brief glance. With over 5,000 disciples awaiting their talent assessment, it seemed unnecessary to delay for a girl whose success was uncertain. Even if she did reach the summit, she would likely only be classified as an outer sect disciple. Form a line according to your order of ascent, one by one. Place your hands on this talent orb, and after 3 seconds, it will reveal your innate ability. Those with exceptional talent may have the opportunity to become disciples of the elders. The talent orb was a treasure of the Daoyi Sect used to evaluate disciples' abilities, classified into 8 levels: white, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and gold. From lowest to highest, any talent rated yellow or above was considered remarkable. Since the sect's inception, only about 1,000 individuals had achieved a blue rating or higher, with fewer than 10 reaching the golden level. Chu Fan, being the sole disciple in nearly a millennium to attain a golden talent rating, was a significant reason for his current position as the head of XuLing Peak, despite only being at the first level of the Saint King realm. Given Chu Fan's extraordinary potential, it was inevitable that he would soon break through to the 6th level of the Saint King realm in the coming years. In the Kanglan realm, the cultivation realms are categorized into martial practitioner, martial master, martial king, martial sovereign, martial saint, Saint King, Saint Emperor, Saint Lord, Saint Monarch, and the rare Emperor realm, which emerges only once in an era. Except for the martial practitioner realm, which does not have subdivisions. Each realm is further divided into 9 levels. Within the Daoyi Sect, the visible ranks indicate that the elders predominantly reside above the 6th level of the Saint King realm, while the sect leader occupies the 1st level of the Saint Emperor realm. Elite disciples are expected to be above the 7th level of the martial sovereign realm, whereas inner disciples range from the 1st to the 6th level of the martial sovereign realm, and outer disciples are all below that level. Those who manage to pass the assessment typically possess a measure of cultivation. The first youth to ascend the pinnacle, recognized as the inaugural talent testing candidate, confidently placed his small hand upon the talent orb. Moments later, a dazzling green light erupted from the orb, soaring into the heavens, signifying that this youth's talent was exceptionally high, cementing his status as an inner disciple. Quite impressive. I intend to take him under my wing. No one will contest this. I trust, spoke Elder Liu of Tianju Peak, revealing his intentions. How could I possibly yield to you? Elder Zhou of Lihuang Peak replied nonchalantly. The other elders remained silent, showing no inclination to vie for the youth. Elder Liu chuckled, swiftly approaching the young man with what he believed to be a congenial smile. Young man, what is your name? Would you be willing to become my disciple? Returning to the elder, my name is Li Yoji, hailing from Shiliang City in the Eastern Continent. I am willing to accept you as my master, Li Yoji replied, suppressing his excitement as he performed the customary bow of apprenticeship. Witnessing Li Yoji's remarkable talent and his acceptance as a disciple by the elder, the over 5,000 spectators cast envious glances, some already feeling anxious, fearing their own talents might not meet the elder's standards for discipleship. Li Yoji followed Elder Liu downwards, arriving at the second disciple. Chu Fan continued to observe the girl on the stone steps. When Li Yoji's talent level was revealed, Chu Fan had glanced briefly at it before redirecting his gaze back to the girl. Chu Fan had scanned the girl with his spiritual sense, finding her exceedingly ordinary, devoid of any spiritual energy, and likely lacking even basic spiritual roots. Nevertheless, the girl persevered, climbing step by step, her face reflecting unwavering determination. This resolute spirit was precisely why Chu Fan was drawn to her. The system imposed no restrictions on accepting disciples. As long as Chu Fan took in a disciple, he would fulfill his task. The choice of whom to accept lay entirely in his hands. Undoubtedly, the girl's spirit enhanced her appeal, and Chu Fan had resolved that if she reached the summit, he would consider taking her as a disciple. As for her talent, he was entirely unconcerned. With the Bodhi divine tree at his disposal, he was confident he could cultivate even a pig into a master. Another green talent. Is this year's crop truly so exceptional? Elder Heir of XuLing Peak remarked, his eyes brimming with delight. It turned out that the second disciple also possessed green talent, much to the joy of the elders who eagerly sought capable disciples. Subsequently, Elder Heir descended, welcoming this disciple into his fold. The aptitude assessment is in full swing, and several elders have successfully taken on promising disciples. Within just a day, each elder stands behind more than a dozen disciples, all of whom exhibit notable talents suitable for nurturing as inner sect disciples. The level of talent is not determined by the order of ascendance. Aside from the initial group of over a dozen with green aptitude, the remainder possesses yellow aptitude. The majority, with talents below yellow, have been allocated as outer sect disciples, while those inner sect disciples who failed to attract the elder's favor will be uniformly arranged by the Daoyi Sect for cultivation and daily tasks. Presently, only Chu Fan and the sect leader Guan Tianyue have yet to accept disciples. Chu Fan, did we not agree that you would take on apprentices? Why is it that you have not selected any? Guan Tianyue inquired, noticing Chu Fan's silence. Chu Fan shook his head and pointed towards a petite girl who was nearing the summit. She is commendable. Her? Guan Tianyue followed Chu Fan's gesture, his brow furrowing. The girl appeared rather ordinary, a mere mortal, and her talent seemed unlikely to be high. Yet, her indomitable spirit stood out. Wow, she possesses blue aptitude. While Guan Tianyue pondered this revelation, the third elder's booming voice broke through the air. Chapter 3. Chu Fan's disciple. Qing Shui. Such a spectacle is rare, captivating the attention of all present. Chu Fan turned to see that the one with blue aptitude was a handsome young boy, around 16, who modestly lowered his head, exuding a hint of shyness. Chu Fan, this is a fine prospect worthy of your personal mentorship. Would you consider bringing him into XuLing Peak? Guan Tianyue proposed. As the sect leader, he naturally contemplated the development of each peak. Unlike Chu Fan, other elders had already accepted numerous disciples, prompting him to encourage Chu Fan to take on this boy. No, it would be better if you took him, Master Uncle, Chu Fan replied, shaking his head as he continued to monitor the climbing girl, who was now less than 20 steps from the summit. Hearing Chu Fan's words, Guan Tianyue helplessly shook his head and stepped forward, intending to accept the young boy as his disciple. The other elders, witnessing the sect leader's personal involvement, momentarily quelled their ambitions. Shortly thereafter, the blue aptitude boy named Yixian successfully became a disciple of Guan Tianyue. After another half hour, fewer than 100 disciples remained in the aptitude assessment, and those with superior talents had largely been assigned to the outer sect. At that moment, the little girl, whom Chu Fan had been watching, finally reached the mountain peak. Upon realizing her success, a look of overwhelming joy crossed her face before she fainted. Clearly, After several days of climbing, this arduous task proved daunting for a girl without any cultivation, and had it been anyone else, they might have given up long ago. Chu Fan recognized this girl's unwavering spirit. Such individuals are likely to cultivate a resolute heart, making her a suitable gem for training. He infused a warm stream of spiritual energy into her body, and she gradually awakened. Now, let us proceed with the aptitude test. The little girl approached the testing platform step by step, guided by her fellow disciple, and placed her hand upon the talent pearl. Guan Tianyue and the other elders watched with anticipation, aware that this was the apprentice Chu Fan intended to accept. The girl, named Qingxue, placed her hand on the talent pearl, her heart fervently praying to pass the test. Qingxue hailed from humble beginnings, living in a small mountain village with her parents until it was ravaged by bandits. She was the sole survivor, having witnessed the brutal massacre of her entire village. A horrific scene that left an indelible mark on her tender heart. Subsequently, she was taken in by an elderly woman who, after a few days, sold her to a wealthy family in the city, leaving with a smile and a handful of silver. Qingxue then became a maid for the affluent household. She bore no grudge against the old woman, understanding that her economic circumstances made it impossible to care for her. Serving a wealthy family at least ensured her basic needs were met. Years passed, and Qingxue reached the age of 16, blossoming into a graceful beauty. Her striking looks caught the attention of many, including the young master of the wealthy family, who entertained unsavory thoughts about her. Thus, on a dark and stormy night, she fled. Desperate and lost, she heard of the Daoyi Sect's recruitment and decided to seek her fortune there. From a young age, she harbored a dream of becoming powerful. Had she possessed strength back then, her village would not have suffered such atrocities, and she would not have lost her family or found herself in such dire straits. Therefore, she aspired to grow stronger, for in this world, only the mighty could seize their own destiny. Her unwavering determination bore fruit, and she completed the first step. If her subsequent performance proved exceptional, she could become an inner disciple of the Daoyi Sect, a moment akin to a fish leaping over the dragon gate. Qingxue's hand trembled slightly on the talent pearl from nervousness. 3 seconds later, a beam of white light, 3 zhang high, erupted from the pearl. The white light signified the weakest talent, suggesting a lifetime of difficulty in achieving success in cultivation. Guan Tianyue, the elders, and the tested disciples all shook their heads in silent disapproval upon witnessing the ascent of the white light. Even the least talented individuals typically manifested an orange light. This white light, barely reaching 3 zhang, signified an extraordinarily mundane individual, destined to be estranged from the world of cultivation. Hearing the murmurs around her, Qingxue's complexion turned ashen. How could this be? Was she truly fated to be devoid of the path of cultivation? Would she be relegated to the status of an outer disciple, leading a monotonous existence? A deep sense of regret welled within her. Helplessly, she lowered her hand, preparing to leave the testing platform. What is your name? Do you wish to become my disciple? A gentle voice, like a celestial melody, resonated in Qingxue's ears. She lifted her gaze to behold an extraordinarily handsome face. With sharp brows and bright eyes, his faint smile enveloped her like a refreshing breeze, lifting her from the depths of despair. My name is Qingxue, and I am willing. Master, please accept my bow as your disciple. With that, Qingxue excitedly knelt down. From this day forth, you shall be the foremost disciple of XuLing Peak. I am Chu Fan. Rise. Yes, master. As Guan Tianyue observed Chu Fan genuinely accepting Qingxue as his apprentice, a sense of bewilderment washed over him. Hastily, he transmitted a message. Chu Fan, this Qingxue lacks the aptitude for cultivation. Are you certain? Perhaps you should consider a more gifted disciple. The other elders echoed similar sentiments through their transmissions. My esteemed colleagues, I have my own plans. Please refrain from further persuasion. With that, Chu Fan departed the plaza, leading Qingxue towards XuLing Peak, while Guan Tianyue continued to organize the remaining matters. Congratulations, host, on acquiring a disciple and completing the task. Rewards, longevity technique. A perfect 10th grade elixir nirvana pill, the Eye of Insight, and a low-tier celestial spirit weapon, the Zawujian. Upon returning to XuLing Peak, the system notified him of the task's completion, accompanied by a plethora of rewards. Chu Fan briefly examined the items. The Eye of Insight and Zawujian were granted for himself, while the longevity technique and nirvana pill were intended for Qingxue. He then activated the Eye of Insight, scanning Qingxue, her information materializing in his mind. Qingxue, age, 16, physique, longevity body, deficient, unawakened, talent, white, cultivation, none. To his astonishment, she was indeed a treasure. Chu Fan felt a surge of joy. He had initially planned to enhance Qingxue's comprehension and aptitude using Bodhi seeds. Now, it seemed she possessed an unawakened longevity body. With the consumption of the Nirvana pill, her physique could be fully activated, marking her as a genius without question. Once she consumed the Bodhi seeds thereafter, it would be the icing on the cake. The longevity technique and Nirvana pill were perfectly tailored for her. Master, is there something on my face? Qing Shui asked cautiously, noticing Chu Fan's gaze upon her. She was not one to entertain fanciful thoughts, well aware of her own limitations. Becoming a disciple of the Daoyi Sect was already a stroke of extraordinary fortune. I was contemplating how to enhance your aptitude. I believe I have found a splendid method. Really? Master, what do you intend to do? A flicker of excitement danced across her anxious face. Her dream was to become a formidable force. Who wouldn't he wish for their talents to flourish? Chapter 4. Bestowing the longevity technique with anticipation brimming. Qing Shui watched as Chu Fan produced a pill exuding a rich medicinal aroma alongside an ancient tome. Here, consume this pill, and you shall be able to practice the longevity technique. Thank you, Master. Qing Shui swiftly took the pill in her hands, scrutinizing it meticulously. Just inhaling its fragrance ignited a warmth within her body. Master, what kind of pill is this? This is the perfect 10th grade elixir, the Nirvana pill. The classification of elixirs ranges from 1st to 9th grade, with the 10th grade being perfect, an extraordinary rarity. Upon hearing Chu Fan's words, Qing Shui recognized the pill's value. A pill so precious, and you offer it to me without hesitation. Truly, Master, you are exceedingly kind. Thank you, Master. I shall strive to grow stronger to repay your kindness. With that, Qing Shui swallowed the Nirvana pill in one swift motion and immediately settled into a meditative position on the ground. The Nirvana pill dissolved instantly upon entry, and the miraculous medicinal power began to take effect within Qing Shui's body. All 108 acupoints and 72 meridians were enveloped by the elixir's potency. Her body started to heat up and flush red, yet she gritted her teeth and remained silent, fully aware that the Nirvana pill was transforming her physique, granting her a rebirth. Thus, she continually encouraged herself to endure, determined not to disappoint her master. Observing Qing Shui's condition, Chu Fan surmised that if all went well, she could undergo a metamorphosis and activate her immortal body within a week's time. At the very least, it would take no longer than a week. He stood vigil by her side, prepared for any unforeseen occurrences. Indeed, as the 7 days elapsed, a formidable surge of power erupted from Qing Shui. The tension in her brow relaxed, though it was accompanied by a foul odor. Oh, how putrid! Master, where is the bathing area? Upon opening her eyes, Qing Shui was greeted by the strange stench emanating from her body, residues expelled post-cleansing of the marrow. Chu Fan pointed in a direction, and the grimy Qing Shui vanished in an instant. Concurrently, he revisited her information. Her basic details remained unchanged, yet her constitution had transformed into the state of an activated immortal body, and her talent had shifted from white to blue. Chu Fan expressed his satisfaction with this development. This was merely the initial awakening of her immortal body, with the true cultivation yet to commence. As her strength grew, her innate talent might ascend further. Half a day later, Qing Shui reappeared before Chu Fan, clad in a fresh set of clothes. Having undergone the marrow cleansing and awakened her immortal body, she exuded a newfound vibrancy, beginning to embody the essence of a celestial being. However, the enchanting scene was abruptly interrupted by a loud rumble. Qing Shui was simply famished, her stomach protesting. Let us dine first, Chu Fan suggested, leading her to the sect's dining hall. The dining hall was designated for disciples who had yet to fast. Those who reached the martial sovereign realm and above could replenish their energy by absorbing the spiritual essence of heaven and earth, rendering food unnecessary. Nevertheless, some adept practitioners still indulged in culinary delights for the sheer pleasure of it, allowing for occasional gustatory indulgence. Starving like a wolf, Qing Shui devoured 5 bowls of rice along with 5 plates of dishes, only setting down her chopsticks after a satisfying belch, still yearning for more. Finally, I feel revived, Qing Shui remarked. With a wave of his hand, Chu Fan transported them to XuLing Peak, as the dining hall had attracted an increasing number of onlookers, all drawn by Qing Shui's remarkable appetite. To avoid embarrassment, Chu Fan opted for a swift relocation. Master, your technique is extraordinary. Will I also be able to do this in the future? Qing Shui inquired. Once you attain a certain level of cultivation, it will come naturally, he replied. And what is your current cultivation level, Master? In the realm of Kanglin, martial prowess reigns supreme. The tiers of cultivation ascend from the martial artist to martial master, martial king, martial sovereign, martial saint, saint king, saint emperor, saint lord, saint emperor, and finally, the great emperor. From the martial master realm onward, each level is subdivided into 9 stages. I humbly confess that I am presently at the first stage of the martial saint realm, Chu Fan elucidated, deliberately withholding the truth of his actual prowess to prevent Qing Shui from aspiring too high too soon. which could hinder her cultivation journey. In the realm of the Saint King, I shall strive diligently in my cultivation, aspiring to reach the level of my esteemed master as soon as possible. With determination in her eyes, Qingxue established a short-term goal. Through her interactions with Chu Fan, she discerned that he was a remarkably amiable master, and she quickly adapted to this new dynamic. Very well. Let us commence the practice of the longevity technique, Chu Fan encouraged, placing the system-rewarded scripture into Qingxue's hands. Rest assured, before long, you shall become a formidable practitioner. He added, find yourself a dwelling on the mountainside. I reside at the peak. Should you encounter any uncertainties, do not hesitate to ascend and inquire. With that, Chu Fan vanished in an instant. Cradling the longevity technique in her hands, Qingxue felt a gentle warmth emanating from the text, which led her into a reverie. After a brief moment, she hurriedly departed to the mountainside of XuLing Peak, selected a modest abode, and began her cultivation. The longevity technique was meticulously tailored for her unique constitution, and in less than half an hour, Qingxue had entered a state of deep meditation. Meanwhile, upon returning to the summit of XuLing Peak, Chu Fan began to examine the rewards bestowed upon him by the system. The Eye of Insight, as it is aptly named, grants the ability to perceive the fundamental information of any individual, such as their cultivation level, physical attributes, and innate talents. Furthermore, the eye possesses the extraordinary capability to pierce through illusions. Anything or anyone within its gaze is rendered utterly transparent. Next, he obtained the mid-low grade spirit weapon, the Zawujian. Spirit weapons are categorized into 6 grades: yellow, profound, earth, heaven, saint, and divine, with each grade further divided into inferior, medium, superior, and exceptional qualities. The Zawujian is a 3-foot sword with a verdant hilt and a silver blade, known for its sharpness, capable of severing hair with a mere breeze. With Chu Fan's strength at the first level of the Saint King realm, he could contend with those at the 4th level. Just barely adequate, he mused, recalling the scant spirit weapons he had acquired through years of signing in. I shall make do with this for now, and once I procure something superior, I will gift this Zawujian to Qingxue as a reward for her cultivation breakthrough. 3 days later, Chu Fan arrived at Qingxue's dwelling and observed her diligently practicing, her aura now exuding the strength of a first-level martial master. In just 3 days, she had ascended from an ordinary individual to that of a first-level martial master. Such talent was undeniably remarkable, undoubtedly aided by the compatibility of the longevity technique with her abilities. Noticing Chu Fan's presence, Qingxue ceased her training. Master, you have arrived. As per your instructions, I am now a first-level martial master. Indeed, commendable, he replied curtly. Just commendable? I believe my progress to be quite exceptional, she retorted, clearly perplexed by his response. To her, achieving such a feat in 3 days was a commendable accomplishment. Seeing her astonishment, Chu Fan elaborated, in my day, I ascended from having no cultivation to the 9th level of martial master in less than the time it takes to burn an incense stick. Ah, Qingxue gasped, astonished by her master's prowess. In light of this comparison, her own achievements seemed far less impressive. Noticing her dismay, a satisfied smirk crept across Chu Fan's face. Oh, you wish to compete with me? In my case, it took merely 2 seconds after signing in to reach the 9th level of martial master. Thus, focus on your training and avoid arrogance. Yes, master. Qingxue obediently returned to her room to cultivate. Chapter 5. Guan Tianyue faces setbacks. A month later, Qingxue devoted herself to her cultivation, finally attaining the 9th level of the martial master realm. On the verge of breaking through to the 1st level of the martial king realm. Such progress brought great satisfaction to Chu Fan. With her rising abilities, Qingxue's demeanor grew more composed, shedding her previous carefree nature. Master, do you think that if I break through to the martial king realm this quickly, my foundation might be unstable? Should I take more time to solidify it? She inquired. There is no need for such concerns. If others were to hear you, you might find yourself without friends, Chu Fan kindly cautioned, observing Qingxue's unshakable foundation. With your longevity physique paired with the longevity technique, how could there be any issues with stability? One might think you were boasting. Very well then. I shall enter seclusion tomorrow and strive to break through to the 1st level of the martial king realm within 10 days. Oh, Uncle Master has arrived. Chu Fan nodded, only to notice Guan Tianyue approaching the foot of XuLing Peak, trapped outside a formation. Uncle Master, did you come to see me for something? Chu Fan opened the formation and greeted Guan Tianyue warmly. Is it wrong for me to visit without a reason? By the way, who set up this formation? Even I. At the 1st level of the Sacred Emperor realm, dare not trespass, Guan Tianyue said, a hint of trepidation in his voice. Earlier, he had attempted to teleport to the summit of XuLing Peak to find Chu Fan, only to be obstructed by an unfamiliar formation. He had a strong intuition that if he forced his way through, he would either perish or suffer greatly. This formation was derived from a formation disc I acquired during my travels. I have just thoroughly studied it and decided to employ it as the protective array for XuLing Peak. Uncle Master, you wouldn't be coveting my formation, would you? Chu Fan preemptively cut off Guan Tianyue's thoughts and, using his insightful eye, gleaned information about him. Indeed, as expected of the sect leader, your hidden depths are impressive. Guan Tianyue, age, 400, physique, heavenly sword, profound body, cultivation, second level of the Sacred Lord Realm. Talent, blue, though he was at the second level of the Sacred Lord Realm. He presented himself as a first-level Sacred Emperor, which could easily lead to peril should he encounter an unwary adversary. The concealment technique was a skill every inner disciple had to cultivate after passing certain tests, ensuring they were not spies from rival sects, and swearing an oath to the Great Way. This technique was passed down from the founding ancestor of the sect, intended to keep Daoyi Sect low profile, avoiding unnecessary attention. This led Chu Fan to seriously suspect whether the founding ancestor had also traversed from another realm, as they understood the subtleties of survival, enabling Daoyi Sect to endure through the ages. In the eyes of others, Daoyi Sect was the least recognized among the 8 great sacred sects of the Eastern continent, seemingly at the bottom of the hierarchy. However, what people observed was merely the tip of the iceberg that Daoyi Sect wished to reveal. I wouldn't dream of it. Am I the kind of person who covets treasures from the elders? Guan Tianyue blushed, hurriedly denying the accusation. Of course not. Chu Fan responded to Dao. Yet inwardly he held contempt. He could not fathom who had the audacity to seize the heavenly-grade spirit medicine obtained by Elder Wu in front of all the elders, claiming that Elder Wu willingly contributed it to the sect, and as a token of appreciation for his selfless dedication, was awarded 30,000 sect points. This incident left Elder Wu in tears for 3 days and nights upon returning. Had it not been for Chu Fan's preemptive actions, Guan Tianyue would have insisted that Chu Fan contribute to the sect next. Chu Fan, I have come to observe the progress of your disciple. If she proves inadequate, it would be perfectly acceptable to seek another. It seemed that Guan Tianyue was concerned about Chu Fan having taken on an incompetent disciple and intended to offer guidance. There is no need for Master to fret. Qing Shue's aptitude is quite commendable. With that, Chu Fan summoned Qing Shue to his side for Guan Tianyue to examine closely. Guan Tianyue scrutinized Qing Shue and could not suppress his astonishment. How is this possible? In less than a month, she has reached the 9th level of martial master? There is nothing impossible. I merely provided her with a perfect grade nirvana pill, which enhanced her aptitude and allowed her talent to manifest. What did you say? Nirvana pill? Guan Tianyue exclaimed, his voice rising in disbelief. Clearly, the mention of the perfect grade nirvana pill had unsettled him. Such pills had been lost to time. Nowadays, aside from some ancient relics, only a few supreme sects might possess 1 or 2. In the present day, 9th grade pills were already rare in the Kanglan realm, let alone those of the 10th grade. Consequently, Chu Fan had allowed Qing Shue to consume the pill. However, upon reflection, it was indeed his to give as he pleased, and no one could interfere. Furthermore, as Chu Fan's foremost disciple, Qing Shue was merely reaping the benefits of his resources. The talent she demonstrated was a testament to the efficacy of the nirvana pill. Disciple, do you have any more nirvana pills? Could you spare a few for your uncle? Guan Tianyue inquired, addressing Chu Fan with newfound courtesy, having shifted from directly calling him by name to a more respectful term. Chu Fan waved his hand dismissively. Master, do you think nirvana pills are as common as cabbages in the market? I only possess this one. It is my only stock. Is that truly the case? I find it hard to believe, Guan Tianyue replied, adopting a skeptical expression. I assure you, I am not deceiving you, Chu Fan reiterated. He spoke the truth. He indeed possessed only one nirvana pill at present, but he anticipated acquiring more formidable resources, such as Bodhi seeds, in the future. However, he refrained from divulging this information. Very well, I shall take your word for it this time. Since your disciple exhibits such extraordinary talent, I will not intrude further. With that, Guan Tianyue turned and departed. Master, it seems the sect leader is quite disheartened. Qing Shue chuckled softly, covering her mouth after Guan Tianyue had left. Chu Fan nodded. The avaricious sect leader, having failed to extract any advantage from him, was surely plagued by countless ants in his mind. This did not imply that Guan Tianyue's character was lacking. As the sect leader, his pursuit of rare materials was aimed at enriching the foundation of the Daoyi Sect, seeking to maximize the potential of these treasures. Upon returning to the Holy Lord Peak, Guan Tianyue sighed repeatedly, feeling as though he had missed a monumental opportunity. Master, you have returned. Look, I have successfully advanced from the 6th layer of the martial master realm to the 7th layer. As Yixian joyfully showcased his achievement, having just made a breakthrough, he rushed towards Guan Tianyue with uncontainable excitement. Prior to joining the Daoyi Sect, Yixian was already at the 4th layer of the martial master realm. Under Guan Tianyue's tutelage, his cultivation began to flourish, and within a month, he had made 3 rapid breakthroughs. Had Guan Tianyue not witnessed Qing Shue's remarkable progress, he would have readily praised Yixian as an extraordinary talent with the potential of a holy emperor. However, with Qing Shui as a benchmark, Guan Tianyue felt no joy. He merely nodded and remarked, "Not bad, keep it up." This left Yixian in a state of bewilderment. What has happened to my master? Has he faced some setback? Chapter 6. Qing Shui emerges from seclusion, consuming Bodhi seeds. What? Your master sent you here to cultivate? Upon seeing Yixian at the door, Chu Fan expressed his confusion. What is Guan Shiboy up to? Is he trying to leech off some fortune? Indeed, Elder Chu. My master said that following you would allow me to progress more swiftly. Yixian replied earnestly. Very well, come in. Chu Fan conceded with a sigh, allowing Yixian to enter the XuLing Peak. Chu Fan had a suspicion that Guan Tianyue felt increasingly dissatisfied after returning, prompting him to send Yixian to seek benefits. Subsequently, Chu Fan employed his insightful eye to examine Yixian's information. Yixian, age, 16, cultivation, 7th layer of the martial master realm, physique, flame god body, awakening pending, talent, blue notable qualifications. And he is also a possessor of a divine physique. The divine physique ranks just below the eternal body and reincarnation body among the 9 supreme physiques. As long as he does not meet an untimely demise, ascending to the holy emperor realm is assured. As Guan Tianyue's disciple, Yixian's astounding potential warranted further observation. If his character proved acceptable, he could be groomed as a future sect leader. At that moment, Chu Fan devised a plan. Yixian, Qing Shui is currently in seclusion, striving to break through to the martial king realm. For the time being, you may arrange your activities independently. You are free to roam anywhere except the peak. With that, Chu Fan vanished before Yixian's eyes. Yixian stood there, astonished. Could it be that junior sister Qing Shui is on the verge of breaking through to the 1st layer of the martial king realm? The speed of her advancement is truly astonishing. No wonder Master showed no joy at my breakthrough to the 7th layer of the martial master realm. He must be aware of Qing Shui's situation. Compared to her, oh no, I am unworthy to compare myself to her. I must strive even harder. I cannot allow others to underestimate me. After all, in terms of seniority, I am the eldest senior brother of this generation and must set an example. Elder Chu, are you there? Not long after returning to the peak, Chu Fan heard Yixian calling from halfway up the mountain. What is it, Yixian? Elder Chu, could you teach me how to cultivate? I wish to break through to the martial king realm like junior sister Qing Shui. Yixian had come to realize that Guan Tianyue's intent in sending him to XuLing Peak was for him to learn from Chu Fan. Certainly, however, before proceeding, you must first pass my test. Here is the challenge. Begin your journey from the foot of the mountain, utilizing any means necessary to reach this point, and I shall assist you in elevating your realm. Is that truly so? Then I shall set forth immediately. With that, Yixian eagerly dashed down the mountain. Soon after, Chu Fan observed that Yixian was ready. He raised his hand to make slight modifications to the formation, disabling the lethal and trapping functions while retaining the illusion formation, adjusting its level to the 8th realm of a martial master, providing Yixian with a sufficient trial without inflicting excessive harm. Subsequently, Chu Fan found a spot, reclined in a chair, and closed his eyes to rest, allowing Yixian to navigate the challenge independently. The illusion formation set by Chu Fan primarily assessed the integrity of one's heart and loyalty, serving as a preliminary evaluation of Yixian's character for the Daoyi Sect. Almost forgetting to sign in, Chu Fan suddenly recalled that a month had elapsed and promptly initiated the sign-in process. Ding, sign-in successful. Congratulations to the host for receiving 300 million high-grade spirit stones. Though not a significant reward, Chu Fan casually stored the acquired spirit stones in the system space. Over the past 2 decades of sign-ins, he had accumulated an incalculable number of spirit stones, with the treasures piled up in the system space resembling mountains. Aside from aiding in cultivation, spirit stones could also be employed to arrange formations, providing ample energy for their operation. 5 days later, Qing Shui emerged from seclusion, having successfully advanced to the 1st realm of a martial king. At the moment of her emergence, Yixian had just exited the illusion formation and began his ascent. Master, who is he? Is he your new disciple? Qing Shui inquired upon noticing the newcomer, assuming Chu Fan had taken on another student. During the disciple ceremony, she had been the last to ascend, and after having her talent tested, she was brought back to XuLing Peak by Chu Fan. Consequently, she had not met Yixian over the past month of her cultivation. No, he is Yixian, a disciple of the sect leader. Here to study at XuLing Peak, Chu Fan clarified. Ah, so he is senior brother Yixian. Elder Chu, I have completed the task. May I now learn from you? Oh, Sister Qing Shui, greetings, you have emerged from seclusion. Yes, greetings, senior brother Yixian. Chu Fan nodded. Very well. You have passed the trial in a mere 5 days. You too follow me. With that, Chu Fan turned towards the peak, coinciding with Qing Shui's emergence, making it an opportune moment for the consumption of the Bodhi seeds. Receiving Chu Fan's praise, Yixian bashfully scratched his head and walked alongside Qing Shui, trailing behind Chu Fan. Upon reaching the summit, Chu Fan plucked 2 thumb-sized Bodhi seeds from the Bodhi tree. The seeds were entirely brown, adorned with 9 faint golden lines on their skin, which were nearly imperceptible upon casual observation. The entire fruit exuded a subdued brilliance, lacking anything particularly extraordinary. One for each of you. Consume it. Chu Fan distributed the Bodhi seeds to Qing Shui and Yixian. Without hesitation, they placed the seeds into their mouths and swallowed, subsequently sitting down to refine their energy. Having previously consumed the Nirvana pill, Qing Shui's overall aptitude had significantly improved, and the Bodhi seeds would further enhance her comprehension to a remarkable degree. Upon reaching the rank of the Martial King, if one desires to swiftly advance further, a keen intellect is indispensable. The higher the understanding, the swifter the comprehension and consequently, the elevation. Thus, in less than the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Qing Shui opened her eyes, having completely refined the Bodhi seed. Yixian, however, experienced a different scenario. During the process of refining the Bodhi seed, his condition resembled that of Qing Shui when she consumed the Nirvana pill, as his body began to glow red and emit heat. Wisps of blue smoke rising from his head. Master, is senior brother Yixian about to awaken a new physique? Indeed, he is awakening the fiery divine body, second only to your longevity body, Chu Fan replied. He had previously informed Qing Shui about the longevity body, instructing her to keep it confidential, for only she needed to be aware. Wow, senior brother Yixian is quite impressive, Qing Shui marveled. Had it not been for her encounter with Chu Fan, she would not have awakened the longevity body, a physique that requires the perfect 10th grade Nirvana pill for awakening. In the entire world, aside from Chu Fan, it seemed unlikely anyone could achieve such a feat, hence, her admiration for Yixian was genuine. At that moment, Yixian was engulfed in brilliant flames, a roaring inferno shooting skyward to a height of 10 zhang, enveloping him entirely. Qing Shui, turn away, do not look. Wait until I tell you it's safe to turn back, Chu Fan cautioned her, as Yixian's clothing was about to be incinerated. Such a sight should not be witnessed by Qing Shui. Understanding the implication, she swiftly darted down the mountain, distancing herself from Yixian. Chapter 7. A new disciple's task. Rooting out the weeds, Yixian remained a fiery figure, consumed by the flames for a full 2 hours before completing his metamorphosis. His fiery divine body was activated, with a flame mark hidden deep within his eyes. Elder Chu, I feel an inexhaustible surge of energy coursing through me, Yixian exclaimed with excitement. Before anything else, put on some clothes. This is rather uncouth, Chu Fan gently reminded, observing Yixian in his state of undress. Oh, Yixian gasped in surprise, realizing that his garments had been entirely burned away. He hurriedly retrieved a set of clothes to don, and then glanced around. I hope junior sister Qing Shui didn't see that. No, she left the mountain beforehand. Moments later, Qing Shui returned, and Chu Fan appraised the two once more. After consuming the Bodhi seed, Qing Shui had indeed enhanced her intellect. Her innate talent remained blue, and her longevity body had only just begun to take shape, with a considerable journey ahead to achieve greater mastery. Yixian, on the other hand, had awakened the fiery divine body, and fortuitously, his cultivation had ascended by 1 level, reaching the 8th stage of martial master, while his understanding had also improved. The foundation for both was well established. With diligent training, their cultivation levels would rise swiftly. Yixian, I have awakened your fiery divine body for you. Apart from your master, do not disclose this to anyone else. One must learn to conceal their strengths. Do you understand? Yes, Elder Chu, Yixian replied respectfully, acknowledging his understanding. Subsequently, Chu Fan arranged for Qing Shui and Yixian to train together. Qing Shui continued her practice of the longevity technique, while Yixian practiced the earth-level techniques selected for him by Guan Tianyue, with plans to transition to more advanced methods once he reached a certain level of proficiency. In the ensuing fortnight, Qing Shui and Yixian devoted themselves to their training within the pavilion crafted by Chu Fan, for Yixian had discovered that this location greatly facilitated tranquility, enabling swift meditation. Over the course of these 2 weeks, Qing Shui ascended to the 2nd level of the Martial King realm, while Yixian also made significant strides towards breaking into the Martial King stage, both making rapid progress. Suddenly, a notification resonated in Chu Fan's mind beneath the shade of the Bodhi tree. Ding! A disciple recruitment task has been issued. Please recruit a second disciple with a talent level above blue. Completion of this task will yield substantial rewards. Startled, Chu Fan opened his eyes wide. Taken aback by the frequency of the system's recent notifications, now autonomously issuing tasks. Nevertheless, the prospect of generous rewards made him feel that the endeavor was worthwhile. After all, how difficult could it be to recruit a disciple? He would not need to teach extensively, making the task easily achievable. After informing Qing Shui, Chu Fan departed from the Daoyi Sect. As the time for disciple recruitment within the sect had passed, he could only seek potential candidates beyond its confines. A day later, with his realm concealed, Chu Fan soared through the low skies, riding the Zawujian, surveying the verdant mountains below. With his spiritual perception, he meticulously noted the beasts and adventurers roaming the forest. This was but an ordinary woodland, where the strongest beasts barely reached the second or third level of the martial master realm. However, it was rich in resources, abundant with yellow-grade spiritual herbs, which the adventurer teams sought to collect for profit. "Hey, look, a powerful figure is flying in the sky," exclaimed a sharp-eyed young man within the forest, his voice tinged with awe. "Hush, do not make a sound. If you provoke that esteemed individual, you might end up with nothing but a corpse," cautioned the middle-aged man, dubbed Big Brother, with a tone laced with trepidation. In the Kanglan realm, a stark division existed between the affluent and the impoverished. The stronger one was, the more respect they garnered, while the weaker faced disdain. The wrath of the powerful could obliterate everything in an instant. In this world governed by the law of the jungle, one must be cautious not to anger the strong, lest they find themselves unaware of their own demise. The middle-aged man, seasoned by life's tempests, understood that some formidable beings possessed eccentric temperaments and could take lives without hesitation. Once Chu Fan had flown out of sight, the young man dared to speak again. "I envy those who can fly freely in the sky. How wonderful it would be if I could do the same one day." The middle-aged man playfully ruffled the young man's hair, chuckling as he chided. What a fanciful dream, to soar through the skies on a sword. One must at least reach the martial king realm. As a mere martial artist, you should focus on gathering more spiritual herbs to earn a living and find a wife. Perhaps your descendants will fulfill your dreams. The young man's eyes dimmed momentarily before he rallied. "You speak wisely, Big Brother. Suehua said that with just 10 taels of silver as a betrothal gift, I could marry her. I've already saved 9 taels. And this trip back will surely allow me to bring her home." "Huh, excellent. When you return, I shall celebrate your wedding with you. We shall not rest until we are thoroughly intoxicated," chimed in the other members of the adventurer team with laughter. "Stop right there. This road is mine. And this tree is mine. If you wish to pass, you must pay a toll." Robbery? Chu Fan was humming a tune as he traversed a canyon when, unexpectedly, 3 burly men with bristly hair emerged from the thicket, each wielding a massive axe stained with remnants of blood. As this was his first outing, Chu Fan had intended to savor the picturesque surroundings, but was instead confronted by the 3 menacing bandits who approached him with intimidating fervor. "Are you here to rob me?" he inquired. "Is there anyone else around? If you know what's good for you, strip off your clothes and relinquish your weapons." "Since I'm in a good mood today, I want to kill you," one of the scarred men retorted, raising his axe threateningly. In their eyes, this young man, barely over 25, appeared weak and likely a curious scion of a wealthy family who had ventured out for a thrill. Such individuals, they believed, were often laden with valuables. With their combined prowess at the 7th level of martial arts, overpowering someone like him would be a trivial task. In this region, those at the 7th level were deemed formidable, and their cruel activities in the canyon went unchallenged. "Is it just the 3 of you? Or is there a leader lurking behind?" Chu Fan asked, maintaining his composure while testing the waters. "It's just us 3 brothers, and I'm the leader." "Why do you ask? If you wish to live, do as I say," the scarred man snapped, tightening his grip on the axe's handle, ready to strike if Chu Fan resisted. "How splendid. Here, take this," Chu Fan exclaimed with a clap, joyfully lifting his Zawujian, as if presenting it to them. The 3 bandits smiled, believing that Chu Fan had capitulated, admiring his apparent wisdom, yet they considered him too young. Did he truly think that surrendering his possessions would ensure his survival? With a swift clang, the sound of a sword unsheathing echoed, and the bandits barely registered a flash of light before their consciousness faded. Mere seconds later, 3 colossal heads tumbled to the ground, their lifeless bodies gushing blood as they collapsed. In their final moments, they remained oblivious to how swiftly Chu Fan had acted. After efficiently dispatching the brigands, Chu Fan extended his consciousness to scrutinize the canyon, ensuring no accomplices lurked nearby. Once satisfied, he waved his hand, obliterating the remains of the deceased before departing gracefully. When venturing into the world, one must exercise utmost caution. One should eradicate threats thoroughly to avoid future entanglements. Chapter 8. 30 years east, 30 years west. 3 days later. Chu Fan found himself on a main thoroughfare. He had traveled far from the Daoyi Sect, now within the jurisdiction of another sect. The road bustled with a multitude of travelers, some heading into the city, while others were embarking on commercial ventures. Nearby, Chu Fan observed a commotion, a dispute between a man in his 20s and a strikingly beautiful woman. A crowd had gathered behind her, seemingly her guards. Watching the altercation unfold, Mu Li, I, Qin Song, owe you nothing. I have borne all burdens these past few years. Why do you treat me this way? Qin Song, how dare you claim that you have not wronged me? Over these past years, you have incessantly made me eat wild vegetables, and I have not tasted a single morsel of meat, resulting in a staggering weight loss of over 40 pounds. The woman named Mu Li exclaimed indignantly. I provided you with wild vegetables precisely because you expressed concern over your weight and requested my supervision to avoid indulging in greasy foods. Look at you now. You have transformed into a slender beauty, haven't you? But why did you not offer me food when I was hungry? Wasn't it your intention to lose weight? Are you even being reasonable? Fine, Qin Song, I did not marry you to engage in rational discourse. Today, I shall sever our ties, and from henceforth, we shall no longer disturb one another. With that, Mu Li departed with her guard, not sparing a glance back, leaving Qin Song alone. Very well, Mu Li, you will surely come to regret this. 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West. Do not underestimate the impoverished youth. In due time, I shall see you begging for my return, Qin Song bellowed with a fierce countenance, catching the attention of passers-by who merely glanced, and then continued on their way. Witnessing the entire scene, Chu Fan found Qin Song rather impressive, particularly when he uttered that classic declaration, leading Chu Fan to believe he was a character with the makings of a protagonist. Subsequently, Chu Fan utilized his insightful eye to examine Qin Song's information. Qin Song, age, 23, cultivation level, first stage of martial master, constitution, none, talent, yellow, a rather mediocre talent. Could this incident catalyze a monumental shift in Qin Song's fate? Chu Fan resolved to follow and observe. Now a solitary figure, Qin Song strayed from the official path and ventured into the dense forest, entirely oblivious to the individual trailing him. On the first day, Qin Song stumbled upon a rare yellow-grade spiritual herb in the woods, consuming it and elevating his cultivation level by 1 tier. The following day, he discovered a medium-grade mysterious fruit hidden within a dilapidated tree hollow, which further enhanced his cultivation upon ingestion. On the third day, while traversing a path, Qin Song tripped over a stone, and in the spot where he fell, he uncovered a spatial ring, which he eagerly adorned on his finger. In the next moment, Qin Song felt the sky darken abruptly, and then he lost consciousness. It turned out he had been devoured whole by a gigantic tiger. Only Chu Fan, lurking in the shadows, was left bewildered by the turn of events. As Qin Song discovered the spatial ring, Chu Fan had thought it was the moment for Qin Song to alter his destiny, perhaps containing a benevolent spirit to guide him in his cultivation, thus soaring to great heights. Instead, in an instant, he was consumed by the tiger, leaving no trace behind. Chu Fan shook his head, lamenting that he had overestimated the situation. There was no protagonist template to speak of. Ignoring the tiger, Chu Fan turned away and continued his search for a more suitable candidate. Tianqing City, a bustling metropolis with a population exceeding 1 million, was governed by a master of the 7th stage of martial venerable. On this day, a grand competition, hosted by the city lord, was in full swing. The purpose of this contest was to identify the outstanding young talents among the next generation, to be nurtured within the city lord's residence, destined to either become his trusted aides or serve other sections. Both pathways would ensure the solidification of his position as city lord. The rules of the competition are rather straightforward. Participants aged between 16 and 20 form the youth group, while those above 20 and up to 26 comprise the young adult group. The top 10 from each group will receive accolades personally bestowed by the city lord, and all will gain the opportunity to become part of the lord's household. Chu Fan attended the tournament with a sense of serendipity, and to his surprise, he encountered a commendable candidate. Unfortunately, the young man's innate talent was only of a green grade, falling short of the system's requirements. This young lad, merely 17, possessed a dark complexion and considerable strength, already achieving the 6th rank of a martial artist at such a tender age, making him a minor expert. Due to his youth, he narrowly lost in the youth group competition to 2 opponents nearing 20, whose prowess surpassed his. Thus, he missed the chance to secure a spot in the top 10. The spectators expressed their sympathy, with some offering consolation. Do not fret, you are only 17. Return next year, and you shall surely claim victory. The dark-skinned youth nodded gratefully, regaining his confidence. At that moment, a striking young man suddenly appeared before him. The subtle pressure emanating from this individual startled the dark-skinned youth, for he realized he stood before a formidable figure. The young man placed a hand on his shoulder, and in the next instant, the scene shifted, transporting him to the woods outside the city, where the same young man stood before him. Feng Huai, I am an elder of the Daoyi Sect. Do you wish to return with me and become a disciple of our sect? The young man was indeed Chu Fan, who recognized Feng Huai as a talent worth nurturing. Although his innate ability did not meet the system's criteria, it did not preclude him from becoming a disciple of the Daoyi Sect. Feng Huai's green talent, albeit lacking in constitution, was still superior to many novices in the inner sect, making him an excellent candidate to be apprenticed to an elder. Disciple pays respects to the master. Feng Huai did not question how Chu Fan knew his name. It was likely learned at the martial arena in Tianqing City. Chu Fan raised his hand to assist Feng Huai in performing the rite of apprenticeship. I do not intend to take you as my disciple. However, I will introduce you to another elder in the inner sect. You may address me as Elder Chu and follow my lead for now. Understood. Are you not concerned that I might be deceiving you? Chu Fan was taken aback by Feng Huai's composure. At such a young age, he remained unfazed by this unexpected turn of events. I am not afraid. Elder Chu has no reason to deceive me. Feng Huai replied with conviction. Very well. Let us proceed. We have some matters to attend to before returning to the sect, Chu Fan remarked with a smile, drawing out his Zawujian and soaring into the sky alongside Feng Huai. Chapter 9. The second disciple, Jiang Feng, Elder Chu. May I bring my sister to the Daoyi Sect as well? Her talent is no less than mine. During their flight, Feng Huai shared his background with Chu Fan. He hailed from a small mountain village, living solely with his sister. Last year, the entire population of their village vanished without a trace. They searched for 3 days and nights, but found no clues. The villagers had disappeared overnight, leaving no information behind, and he had meticulously examined the area for any signs of struggle. With no other choice, he and his sister had journeyed to Tianqing City over 10 days ago, hoping for a better life, which led him to participate in this competition. Very well, let us see. Chu Fan nodded, contemplating that if what Feng Huai claimed were true, then his sister might indeed meet the system's criteria, and he could also investigate the peculiar occurrences in this secluded mountain village. Feng Huai gestured in a certain direction, and soon, Chu Fan guided him to the remote village. Upon entering the village's entrance, they spotted a young girl, approximately the same age as Qing Shui, donning a simple azure garment and carrying a wooden basin filled with freshly laundered clothes, evidently returning from her chores. Fang Qian, 16 years old, cultivation, 7th stage of martial master, physique, XuLing Dan body, talent green, with a green talent and a XuLing Dan body. Her aptitude was indeed superior to that of Feng Huai. Those endowed with the XuLing Dan body were born alchemists, and the purple martial peak of the Daoyi Sect specialized in alchemy. The 5th elder, Qi Xiyun, and the 2nd elder of the purple Ling Peak, Qi Xing, were sisters and among the only 2 female elders in the assembly of 10. If Fang Qian were brought back to the 5th elder, she would undoubtedly be thrilled for several days. Ah, your sister possesses remarkable talent. She is an alchemical prodigy. If she desires, she may join the Daoyi Sect. Chu Fan remarked to Feng Huai. Upon hearing this splendid news, a broad grin broke across Feng Huai's dark visage, revealing his pearly white teeth as he joyfully sprinted towards Fang Qian, waving his hand and calling her by her nickname. Brother, you have returned, Fang Qian exclaimed, setting down the wooden basin, her round face still glistening with droplets of water from her laundry. Yes, Qian, Feng Huai began as he approached her. I must tell you that Elder Chu mentioned your potential to become an inner disciple of the Daoyi Sect. Would you like to accompany me? Wherever you go, I shall follow, Feng Qian replied without hesitation. Very well, I shall take you to meet Elder Chu. Feng Huai took Feng Qian's hand and led her before Chu Fan. I am Feng Qian. Greetings, Elder Chu, she politely bowed. Rise, there is no need for nervousness, Chu Fan replied, before falling silent, his attention captivated by the village. Through his insightful gaze, the entire village appeared enveloped in a mysterious force. Even with his formidable strength, he would not have been able to perceive the truth without this ability. This phenomenon was not artificially constructed, but rather a natural formation. It seemed that the villagers' disappearance was intricately linked to this enigmatic power. The pressing question remained, why had others vanished while Feng Huai and Feng Qian remained? Feng Huai, have you and your sister always resided in this village? Are the villagers practitioners of cultivation? Chu Fan sought to ascertain the truth. Elder Chu, my sister and I are not original inhabitants of this village. We were adopted when we were quite young. The villagers are all mortals and do not practice cultivation. My sister and I have developed our abilities through a few cultivation manuals I acquired from outside. Feng Huai relayed the information he possessed. Chu Fan fell silent. As expected, this village harbored a significant secret. However, at present, there were no clues to pursue. This mysterious force lingered solely within the village. leaving him unable to uncover any further information. He could only plan to return at a later time. Elder Chu, have you made any discoveries? Feng Huai inquired softly. Noticing Chu Fan's expression, Chu Fan nodded, saying, there is a hint, but the specifics remain elusive. Let us proceed. We must venture to other locations. Stop. This path is mine, and this tree is my own. To traverse this road, leave your coins. Suddenly, as Chu Fan and the Feng siblings traversed a desolate mountain, a youth clad in animal hide emerged, brandishing a makeshift spear, blocking their way with a fierce demeanor and eyes sparkling with cunning intelligence. Another robbery encounter. Chu Fan sighed, rubbing his forehead. Having ventured out for merely over 10 days, he had already encountered 2 waves of bandits. Could it be that the bandits in this Kanglan realm were so numerous? Suddenly, Chu Fan experienced a revelation and activated his insight eye to examine the information about the youth in animal hide. Jiang Feng, age, 20, cultivation, first level of martial king, physique, Hercules body, talent, blue. Chu Fan was overjoyed. It truly was a serendipitous find, as he had not anticipated encountering such a prodigy in this remote wilderness. Accepting this disciple would fulfill his task. What's the matter? Are you all stunned? Hurry and pay up. Jiang Feng, observing the trio's silence, assumed they were intimidated by his imposing presence. He had discerned that Feng Huai and Feng Qian, being at the 6th and 7th levels of martial master respectively, were no match for him, and he surmised that this unclear level youth lacked any real prowess. However, as Chu Fan gently raised his hand, Jiang Feng felt as though a colossal stone weighing 100,000 pounds was pressing down upon him, forcing him to the ground. A master, I'm doomed. I've kicked a steel plate. The spear in Jiang Feng's hand slipped from his grasp, leaving him unable to move except for his eyes and mouth. Acutely aware of the jungle's laws, he hastily began to plead for mercy before Chu Fan could make another move. Great master, spare my life. I was blind to not recognize your greatness. Please let me go. I am willing to offer all my savings. Jiang Feng's drastic transformation amused Feng Qian, who stifled a laugh, nearly bursting into giggles. Just moments ago, he had been so arrogant, and now he was utterly helpless. I do not seek your savings. However, would you be willing to become my disciple? Chu Fan stated calmly. Feng Huai and Feng Qian, upon hearing Chu Fan's words, were taken aback and turned their gazes towards Jiang Feng. They understood that Chu Fan had not accepted them as disciples due to their insufficient qualifications, but now he intended to take Jiang Feng as a disciple, indicating that Jiang Feng's talents surpassed theirs. Although they felt no resentment towards Chu Fan's decision, they couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy towards Jiang Feng for being chosen by Chu Fan. I am willing, master. I desire to be your closed-door disciple, Jiang Feng exclaimed repeatedly, fearing that a delayed response might provoke Chu Fan's wrath. Very well, you shall be my second disciple. Jiang Feng, now, perform the disciple's bow. Chu Fan nodded, releasing the pressure weighing down on Jiang Feng. Chapter 10. The Return to Daoyi Sect. The extraordinary Jiang Feng, ding, the disciple recruitment mission has been completed. Rewards, Hercules pill, force technique, divine tree peaches, ancient eye technique, cycle of life and death. The Hercules pill and force technique are intended for Jiang Feng's use, while the divine tree peaches primarily serve to extend one's lifespan. With 3,000 ripe peaches on the tree, consuming one grants an additional 1,000 years of life, with no limit to accumulation. As for the ancient eye technique, Chu Fan merely sensed a flash of light in his eyes, and the information regarding the cycle of life and death materialized in his mind. Cycle of life and death is an ancient eye technique that, with a single glance, can bring about total destruction, and with another, restore everything to life. Life and death are but a thought away. Chu Fan nodded in satisfaction. Among the rewards he had received over the years, this ancient eye technique could truly be deemed a divine power, one that could not possibly exist in the Kanglan realm. With this technique, his strength was once again enhanced. Having spent considerable time outside, it was now time to return to Daoyi Sect. Chu Fan planned to administer the Hercules pill to Jiang Feng upon his return. Master, do you think my aptitude is sufficient? Will you take me as your personal disciple? Jiang Feng implored, his eyes filled with yearning. In his view, there existed a hierarchy among disciples, distinguishing between outer disciples and inner disciples. Outer disciples enjoyed lesser privileges, primarily relying on personal effort for cultivation, while inner disciples received one-on-one guidance from their masters and had access to the most abundant resources. Certainly, from this day forth, you shall be my personal disciple, Chu Fan, he declared emphatically, leaving Jiang Feng deeply moved. Having completed his task, Chu Fan's journey back to Daoyi Sect was expedited, and within 2 days, he had returned to XuLing Peak. After entrusting Jiang Feng to Qing Shui, Chu Fan accompanied Feng Qian and Feng Huai to Ziwu Peak. where Elder Chi Si Yun resided. Master Chi, I have arrived. Oh, what brings you to Ziwu Peak today, Chu Fan? Chi Si Yun emerged from her quarters, holding an exquisite alchemical furnace emitting wisps of white smoke, a smile gracing her face. The atmosphere within Daoyi Sect is delightful. The interactions among elders and disciples are harmonious, devoid of any intrigue or rivalry. To gain entry into the inner sanctum of Daoyi Sect is akin to joining a family, aside from the formal rules that must be observed in official settings. Everyone coexists peacefully. I have come to seek your guidance, Master. Look, during my recent travels, I encountered a promising alchemist and brought her back for you. Chu Fan introduced Fong Qian to Chi Si Yun. Oh, let me see. Chi Si Yun examined Fong Qian closely, nodding in approval, as she sensed an aura of familiarity emanating from her. Now, place your hand on this gem. Chi Si Yun produced a talent gem with her free hand. Obediently, Fong Qian placed her hand upon it, and 3 seconds later, a beam of green light surged skyward, causing Chi Si Yun's eyes to gleam with excitement. Master Chi. Not only does Fong Qian possess green aptitude, but she also has the rare cleansing spirit body. Upon hearing this, Chi Si Yun hastily set aside the talent gem and alchemical furnace, focusing intently on examining Fong Qian. The cleansing spirit body is a natural prodigy in alchemy. Chi Si Yun's own remarkable achievements stemmed from her unique medicinal body, an aspiration of many alchemists. No wonder I feel such a sense of familiarity. It turns out I possess a pure and ethereal physique. How delightful. I now have a worthy successor on Purple Martial Peak. Shortly thereafter, upon confirming Fong Qian's constitution, Chi Si Yun was overjoyed. Chu Fan, you have bestowed upon me such a grand gift. I am at a loss as to how to repay you. How about this? I shall double the alchemical resources from XuLing Peak for you henceforth. I am most grateful, Master Uncle. There is no need for such formalities. I should be the one expressing my gratitude. After arranging for Fong Qian, Chu Fan continued his journey with Fong Huai towards Spirit Town Peak, where Fong Huai successfully became a disciple of the third elder, Ling Yu. During this time, Chu Fan utilized his insightful eye to gather information on Chi Si Yun and Ling Yu. On the surface, Chi Si Yun appeared to be at the 8th stage of the Holy King realm, yet her true cultivation had already reached the 8th stage of the Holy Emperor realm. As for Ling Yu, he too seemed to be at the 8th stage of the Holy King realm, but his actual power had ascended to the 9th stage of the Holy Emperor realm, not far from the 1st stage of the Holy Sovereign realm. It is no wonder that the elders of the Daoyi Sect excel in concealing their true levels of strength. This also elucidates why, over the course of several 100,000 years, some holy sects have faded into the annals of history. While the Daoyi Sect has maintained an unbroken lineage since ancient times, relying on such understated pragmatism, it is noteworthy that in the Eastern continent, other sects sharing the title of Holy Sect have their leaders at merely the 5th stage of the Holy Emperor realm, with most elders ranging from the 9th stage of the Holy King realm to the 3rd stage of the Holy Emperor realm. In stark contrast, the weakest elder of the Daoyi Sect possesses strength surpassing that of their leaders by several tiers. While those sect leaders toil to break through the 6th stage of the Holy Emperor realm, Daoyi Sect's elders are already striving for the Holy Sovereign realm. Chu Fan chuckled and shook his head in amazement, then returned to XuLing Peak to prepare gifts for Jiang Feng. Upon returning, Qing Shui brought Jiang Feng before Chu Fan. Jiang Feng had changed into a new outfit, shedding his former wild persona and appearing quite refined, though this was only true when he refrained from speaking. Initially, Jiang Feng had reveled in his fortune to become Chu Fan's inner disciple, but upon encountering the senior sister Qing Shui, his pride evaporated. The senior sister, not yet 17, had already attained the 3rd stage of the Martial King realm, while he, at 20, remained stuck at the 1st stage. In such a comparison, he found little to boast about. It could be said that in every regard, Qing Shui overshadowed him. Master, I have heard you have prepared gifts for the senior sister. What about mine? Jiang Feng implored, his expression pitiable. He had realized that Qing Shui's rapid advancement stemmed from the nirvana pill and techniques bestowed by Chu Fan. And to catch up to her, the only recourse he could conceive was to seek benefits from Chu Fan. Of course, here is a strength pill. Consume it, and your aptitude will improve. Additionally, this manual, strength scripture, when perfected, will grant you the power to split mountains and shatter seas with a single punch. Chu Fan presented Jiang Feng with the rewards from the system. Jiang Feng's eyes sparkled with excitement as he swallowed the strength pill in one gulp. Half an hour later, his constitution improved, and his cultivation ascended by 2 levels, reaching the 3rd stage of the Martial King realm. How splendid! I have finally transcended my limits, Jiang Feng exclaimed, exuberantly gesticulating, reminiscent of a satiated monkey frolicking in the mountains. Is such exaggeration truly necessary? Chu Fan could not help but chuckle softly, inquiring, Master, you have no idea. Since the age of 5, I have been at the first level of the Martial King realm. For the past 15 years, regardless of my relentless efforts, I have been unable to break through my limitations. Now that I have achieved this, how could I not be jubilant? At 5 years old, you reached the first level of the Martial King realm? Upon hearing this, both Chu Fan and Qing Shui cast curious glances at Jiang Feng, causing him to feel quite uncomfortable. Chapter 11. The True Disciple. Jiang Feng was momentarily befuddled. Please share your circumstances with me. Jiang Feng had no choice but to recount his origins. He was unaware of his biological parents. From the moment he became aware, only a tiger demon had accompanied him, until it departed when he turned 16. His cultivation had already reached the first level of the Martial King realm at 5 years of age, and he possessed immense strength. Initially, he had no concept of cultivation and paid little heed to his own prowess. After all, he was the strongest in the entire desolate mountain region. As he matured and learned about the concept of cultivation from others, he aspired to grow stronger and soar through the skies like other powerful beings. Thus he began his training. For reasons unknown, Jiang Feng found himself unable to advance in his cultivation, regardless of how diligently he trained or how many spiritual herbs he consumed. After more than a decade of stagnation, he resorted to occasionally robbing the wealthy to aid the poor to alleviate his boredom, until he encountered Chu Fan. Upon hearing this, Chu Fan fell silent. It was the first time he learned of Jiang Feng's predicament. On their way back to the sect, he had examined Jiang Feng's body and found nothing unusual. The key issue lay with the power pill. Jiang Feng had only broken through after consuming the power pill rewarded by the system. System, what exactly is Jiang Feng's condition? Beep. Host, Jiang Feng does not have any issues. Everything is related to his constitution. The power pill merely rectified the deficiencies in his physique, and his problems have now been resolved. With the system's response, Chu Fan understood. It was indeed related to Jiang Feng's constitution. Since the system indicated there was no cause for concern, there was no need to probe further. However, to reassure Jiang Feng, Chu Fan decided to put on a semblance of scrutiny. He placed his hand upon Jiang Feng's head, channeling spiritual energy through his meridians. After a thorough examination, he spoke. I have checked your body, and there is nothing unusual. Moreover, the power pill you consumed has resolved your breakthrough issue. You may now focus on your cultivation with peace of mind. Yes, Master, Jiang Feng expressed his gratitude. Qing Shui, who had been listening nearby, also breathed a sigh of relief. She had been worried that this new junior disciple might face obstacles in his training, but it was fortunate that their master was all-capable. Qing Shui, have you encountered any difficulties in your cultivation recently? In response, she replied, no. I feel that I am on the verge of breaking through to the 4th level of the Martial King realm. Excellent. You are progressing rapidly, Chu Fan praised. Then turned to Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng, you must diligently practice the power technique. Now, come with me. Master, where are we going? Jiang Feng inquired, puzzled. Isn't your aspiration to become a closed-door disciple? Then, naturally, we shall head to your residence. Having spoken, Chu Fan lifted his foot and walked towards the foot of XuLing Peak. Jiang Feng had no choice but to silently follow, while Qing Shui made her way to the pavilion to cultivate, where Yi Xian was on the verge of breaking through to the 2nd level of the Martial King realm. Master, why have you stopped? Jiang Feng inquired. Because we have arrived, Chu Fan replied. This is the entrance to our XuLing Peak. Did you not say you would take me to my residence? Jiang Feng's voice gradually diminished. This is your residence. Did you not insist on becoming a closed-door disciple? Henceforth, aside from your cultivation, your primary duty will be to guard the door. That will be all for now. With that, Chu Fan vanished in a flash, leaving Jiang Feng in a state of bewilderment. Closed-door disciple? Is that what it means? Upon returning to the summit, Chu Fan retrieved the peach tree of immortality and planted it beside the Bodhi tree. Although the grade of the peach tree was slightly inferior to that of the Bodhi tree, it was nonetheless an unparalleled treasure that had never before graced the Kanglan realm. The 3,000 peaches adorning its branches, each capable of extending life, could incite a tempest across the entire realm. The effects of the peaches were indeed miraculous. However, for the robust Chu Fan, they merely represented a somewhat superior type of spiritual fruit. He plucked a peach the size of a fist, took a bite, and the sweet, ethereal flesh, upon entering his throat, rendered the world before him brilliantly clear. The juice that dripped onto the ground instantaneously sprouted into a dozen flowers. Delicious. Chu Fan praised as he savored the fruit, affirming its invigorating quality. 10 days passed, and voices emerged from the pavilion at the foot of the mountain, where Qing Shui and Yi Xian had completed their breakthroughs. Qing Shui had ascended to the 4th level of the Martial King realm, while Yi Xian had reached the 2nd level. At the entrance, Jiang Feng, who had begun his practice of the power technique, had also found his rhythm, remaining at the 3rd level of the Martial King realm. At that moment, a towering figure appeared at the entrance of XuLing Peak, raising his hand to knock on the door. Who is it? Zhang Feng asked as he opened the door. Ah, it's the sect leader. Greetings, sect leader. Zhang Feng greeted Guan Tianyue politely. Though Zhang Feng had never met Guan Tianyue, Qing Shui had taught him to recognize the attire of the Daoyi Sect. You must be the newly accepted disciple of Chu Fan. Impressive indeed. Is Chu Fan here? Guan Tianyue praised Zhang Feng before stepping into XuLing Peak. Master is at the summit, Zhang Feng began, but before he could finish, Guan Tianyue had already disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already beside the pavilion. Disciple. Guan Tianyue exclaimed with delight as he beheld Yi Xian, who had transformed remarkably in just over a month. His strength had progressed to the second level of the martial king realm, with a reservoir of fiery energy within him. Master, what brings you here? Yi Xian responded with equal surprise. Do you not wish for my presence? No, not at all, Yi Xian replied awkwardly. Noticing that the two were about to engage in conversation, Qing Shui quietly withdrew from the pavilion to find Zhang Feng to play. Master, Elder Chu gave me a peach. And that is how I awakened the fiery divine body. Yi Xian recounted his experiences on XuLing Peak to Guan Tianyue. The more Guan Tianyue listened, the more exhilarated he became, simultaneously astonished by Chu Fan's formidable capabilities. After offering a few words of encouragement to Yi Xian, Guan Tianyue ascended to the peak in search of Chu Fan, mindful of the purpose of his visit. Given that 2 divine trees adorned the summit, Chu Fan had prudently designated the area as a forbidden zone, establishing multiple formations to ensure that only he could enter. Anyone else would require his explicit consent to gain access. Thus, before Guan Tianyue reached the peak, Chu Fan had already descended. Master Guan, do you require my assistance? Chu Fan inquired. Indeed, with only 2 days remaining until the new disciples commence their lessons, I have come to inform you, Guan Tianyue replied. Had you not mentioned it, I might have forgotten. I will ensure that Qing Shui and Zhang Feng attend. Chu Fan recollected, reminded by Guan Tianyue's words. After each new intake of disciples at the Daoyi Sect, a gathering is arranged 3 months later at the plaza for all disciples to attend lectures. These sessions are organized by Elder Zhenqi, the esteemed leader of XuLing Peak, who imparts knowledge regarding the arrangement of various formations to the new disciples. Most of these formations are concealment and trapping arrays, designed to be prepared in advance for encounters with adversaries, allowing one to strike down foes while preventing exposure to prying eyes, thus safeguarding one's identity and strength. Prior to the commencement of these lessons, all disciples must undergo a test of character to ascertain their loyalty to the Daoyi Sect. Chapter 12. The Hidden Strength of the Daoyi Sect. After discussing the upcoming lectures, Guan Tianyue squinted his eyes, revealing a cunning smile, and playfully nudged Chu Fan with his body. Nephew Chu Fan, I recently conversed with Yi Xian, who mentioned that you possess a miraculous fruit capable of awakening one's constitution. I am curious to learn more. Chu Fan chuckled and shook his head, having anticipated this day when he decided to administer the Bodhi fruit to Yi Xian. Master Guan, please follow me. He turned towards the peak of XuLing, with Guan Tianyue closely trailing behind. Upon reaching the summit, Chu Fan gestured towards the nearby Bodhi Divine Tree and the Peach Divine Tree, explaining, Master Guan, this is the Bodhi Divine Tree, from which I provided Yi Xian the Bodhi fruit. It enhances one's comprehension and holds a chance of awakening one's constitution. The other is the Peach Divine Tree, whose fruit grants longevity, extending one's life by a millennium. No sooner had he finished speaking than Guan Tianyue's eyes widened in astonishment, his mouth agape, and he swallowed hard. Nephew Chu Fan, from whence did you acquire such a miraculous treasure? The Bodhi Divine Tree is one of the 4 great spiritual roots. Clearly taken aback, Guan Tianyue's words stumbled forth. I happened upon a secret realm during my travels, where these 2 treasures were located. I secured them before exiting. Chu Fan recounted the excuse he had meticulously prepared. Do you recall the location of that secret realm? Can we still access it? Guan Tianyue inquired. Chu Fan shook his head. It is no longer accessible. The realm vanished after I emerged. What a pity, Guan Tianyue sighed, contemplating the prospect of exploration. After a moment's reflection, his attention returned to the Bodhi and Peach Divine trees, and with a mischievous grin, he rubbed his hands together. Nephew Chu Fan, considering the abundance of Bodhi fruits and peaches, might you be willing to contribute some to the sect, enabling those core disciples to advance further? In the realm of the living, there exist our ancestors, half alive within their coffins. Should they partake of the celestial peaches, they might just awaken to a second spring of life. Fearing that Chu Fan might decline, Guan Tianyue continued, if you contribute a portion, I shall immortalize your dedication to the sect in the ancestral records for future disciples to revere. Chu Fan could not help but smile wryly, sensing an oddity in Guan Tianyue's words. However, it was evident that Guan Tianyue was a most competent sect leader, always considering the welfare of the sect when treasures were at hand. With thousands of Bodhi seeds and 2,985 celestial peaches at his disposal, 15 of which Chu Fan had already consumed as fruit, offering some to the sect seemed a trivial matter. The Daoyi Sect was akin to a grand family. Sharing good fortune was a noble act. Seizing the opportunity with Guan Tianyue's arrival, he decided to make a generous donation. This is no issue. I intend to bestow 1 Bodhi seed upon each of the direct disciples. As for the celestial peaches, it depends on the number of ancestors. Master Guan, how many direct disciples does the Daoyi Sect have, and what are their realms? Also, how many ancestors are there? The Daoyi Sect boasted numerous disciples, and coupled with its unique characteristics, the representation from the other 10 peaks was merely a fraction of the whole. Secretly, there were many unknown disciples diligently cultivating in the shadows. Moreover, Chu Fan had remained secluded and was unaware of the exact number of disciples. Even the elders were likely in the dark. Only the sect leader possessed a clear account of such data. To be candid with you, dear nephew Chu, the Daoyi Sect has a total of 473 direct disciples, all ranging from the 8th level of Martial Venerable to the 3rd level of Martial Saint. They represent the fresh vigor of our sect. As for the slumbering ancestors, there are not many, just over 1,600. Upon hearing this figure, even Chu Fan, who had mentally prepared himself, was taken aback. This was astonishing. The combined number of ancestors from the other 7 great sects in the Eastern continent hardly reached half that of the Daoyi Sect's ancestors. Truly, the 6th sect's legacy of survival was deeply ingrained. In comparison, the number of direct disciples seemed hardly remarkable, and Chu Fan held a skeptical view regarding Guan Tianyue's claims about their realms. Without further ado, Chu Fan gathered 600 Bodhi seeds and 2,000 celestial peaches, neatly packaging them before handing them over to Guan Tianyue. The latter's delight was evident, his grin stretching from ear to ear. 600 Bodhi seeds would suffice for the direct disciples, with some remaining for the elders, while the celestial peaches were reserved for the ancestors, untouched. Dear nephew Chu, at sunset tomorrow, I shall return to witness the scene of the direct disciples consuming the Bodhi seeds, Guan Tianyue declared before hastily departing from XuLing Peak. Heading toward the most sacred ground of the Daoyi Sect, Chu Fan understood that he was to deliver the celestial peaches for the ancestors' consumption. Thus, the sect's eminent powers would no longer be burdened by concerns of insufficient lifespan. Deep within the forbidden ground of the Daoyi Sect, Guan Tianyue, holding the sect leader's token, opened 300 portals and finally arrived at the resting place of the ancestors. Little Guan, what brings you here? Has a crisis befallen the Daoyi Sect? Before a colossal stone door, an elderly man with silver hair but a rosy complexion intercepted Guan Tianyue. Having encountered Yangzhu, he assured that nothing untoward had transpired within the Daoyi Sect, and today, he bore splendid offerings for the ancestors. Guan Tianyue responded with utmost reverence, producing a peach from his spatial ring and presenting it to Yangzhu. As one of the venerable ancestors of the Daoyi Sect, Yangzhu had lived for tens of thousands of years, his profound strength rendering him virtually inscrutable. Due to the nature of his cultivation method, he did not require deep slumber, thus occupying the role of the gatekeeper. As he beheld the peach, radiating vitality, an overwhelming urge to consume it whole surged within him. What manner of celestial peach is this? I sense boundless life emanating from it. Yangzhu, this is a pan tao. Consuming one can extend one's lifespan by a millennium. Guan Tianyue elucidated. Yangzhu, eager to verify this claim, devoured the peach with fervor, leaving only the intact pit, which he meticulously stored in his spatial ring. Moments later, upon feeling his lifespan genuinely augmented by 1,000 years, Yangzhu's eyes sparkled with excitement, instilling a sense of dread in Guan Tianyue. Is this truly the wondrous good you spoke of? How many more do you possess? Yangzhu had discerned Guan Tianyue's ulterior motive, to awaken the slumbering ancestors through the consumption of the pan tao, restoring their vitality. Yangzhu, though not in abundance. There are enough for each of the slumbering ancestors to partake. What? So many? Yangzhu exclaimed, having anticipated that such divine artifacts would be scarce. Perhaps no more than a handful, yet was astonished to discover over 1,000. Now, there was no need to deliberate on who would partake. Follow me, Yangzhu said. His spirits buoyed, as he executed a hand sign to open the stone door, leading Guan Tianyue inside. Subsequently, in a state of trepidation, Guan Tianyue watched as Yangzhu summoned over 1,000 slumbering ancestors from their coffins with a single gesture. Old comrades, it's time to feast. That night, the disciples and elders of the Daoyi Sect were met with terrifying laughter, echoes of cackles and howls that rendered them unable to cultivate, believing some malevolent spirit was assailing their sect. Chapter 13. In the secret realm of the Daoyi Sect, the disciples refined the Bodhi seeds. The once tranquil night of the Daoyi Sect welcomed the dawn amidst the uproarious laughter of the ancestors. Guan Tianyue concocted an impeccable excuse to explain the previous night's events, and the disciples, having been thoroughly frightened, resumed their tasks and training. In the grand hall of the Daoyi Sect, Guan Tianyue summoned 56 elders to distribute the Bodhi seeds. Master, is this truly the legendary Bodhi seed? Why has Master Chu Fan not appeared? Qi Xiyun clutched her Bodhi seed tightly, scanning the surroundings for any sign of Chu Fan, and inquired of Guan Tianyue. She had learned that Chu Fan had procured a prodigy in alchemy for her, always thinking of him when benefits were at stake. The other elders cast questioning glances toward Guan Tianyue. Esteemed elders, please remain calm. I neglected to mention that these Bodhi seeds were indeed contributed by Master Chu Fan for the sect, and besides you, there are provisions for some direct disciples as well. Now it makes sense. Master Chu Fan is indeed thoughtful. Indeed, the spirit of Master Chu Fan is worthy of our emulation. The elders present unanimously expressed their admiration for Chu Fan, and their praise was heartfelt. After returning, the elders were advised to promptly consume Bodhi seeds to enhance their own strength and comprehension. Moreover, they were reminded to keep this matter confidential, as it should not be overheard by outsiders. Although they were not afraid of complications, they did not wish for their disciple Chu Fan to attract unnecessary trouble. Guan Tianyue solemnly instructed. The elders nodded in agreement. They would have acted accordingly without needing further prompting from Guan Tianyue. As elders of the Daoyi Sect, their intelligence and emotional acumen were unquestionable. It was indeed prudent to accumulate wealth quietly. The meeting soon dispersed, with 6 elders heading towards the outer sect of the Daoyi Sect, while the 9 peak masters returned to their respective mountains. The remaining elders, who operated from the shadows, flew towards the back mountain. All of this transpired with great secrecy. No one was aware of the substantial number of elders within the Daoyi Sect. On the surface, the Daoyi Sect appeared to have only 16 elders, including the outer sect and peak masters, which was standard for a holy sect, a number that was consistent across other holy sects as well. As sunset approached, Guan Tianyue arrived at XuLing Peak, summoned Chu Fan, and took him to the back mountain. Upon reaching the back mountain, Guan Tianyue performed a complex seal, revealing a portal before them. Step inside, he urged, leading the way through the portal. After traversing a distance of over 10 meters within the portal, the scene shifted, unveiling a secret realm. Chu Fan scanned the surroundings with his spiritual awareness, discovering that this secret realm was comparable in size to the Daoyi Sect outside. Within the realm, hundreds of figures were present, some engaged in cultivation while others conversed. Notably, 41 figures were dispersed throughout the secret realm, each seemingly at the 7th or 8th level of the Saint King realm, while the rest appeared to be younger disciples. Their cultivation levels ranging between Martial Venerable and Martial Saint. This indeed exemplified the hidden strength of the Daoyi Sect, a remarkable distinction. When Guan Tianyue and Chu Fan arrived at a vast plaza, the sound of a bell resonated throughout the secret realm. In less than 10 breaths, 473 disciples gathered in an orderly square formation. We greet the sect master. We greet Elder Chu. The disciples respectfully bowed and called out to Guan Tianyue and Chu Fan. Clearly, Guan Tianyue had informed them of their arrival beforehand. Chu Fan activated his insightful eye, scanning the disciples back and forth. To his astonishment, he discovered that these disciples, aged between 35 and 50, were predominantly at the 8th level of the Martial Saint realm, with some already at the 2nd level of the Saint King realm. Their talents were all above green, with over 10 achieving blue, and even 1 reaching purple. This was far from the Martial Venerable 8th level and Martial Saint 3rd level that Guan Tianyue had mentioned. Each of these disciples, if showcased, would easily surpass the direct disciples of other holy sects, who, at the same age, typically reached only the 5th level of the Martial Saint realm at most. Chu Fan's curiosity was piqued. He wondered what extraordinary methods the Daoyi Sect employed to cultivate such a multitude of prodigies, an impressive total of 473. It was no wonder that their lineage had remained unbroken since ancient times. Their strength and foundation were indeed formidable. The founder of the Daoyi Sect was a visionary individual. Without further ado, I have summoned you today to present an opportunity, the extent of which depends solely on your own efforts. Qin Haoran stepped forward. As the words fell, a strikingly handsome young man emerged from the crowd. He stood at a height of 8 feet, with single eyelids and a resolute gaze, exuding an air of leadership as he walked with purpose. Qin Haoran, a disciple endowed with purple talent, had attained the formidable realm of Saint King, making him the strongest among the gathered disciples. Haoran is here. What commands do you have? Sectmaster? Qin Haoran inquired, clasping his fists respectfully. Distribute these Bodhi seeds, 1 for each person, Guan Tianyue instructed, handing Qin Haoran a spatial ring containing 473 Bodhi seeds. Upon hearing the term Bodhi seeds, excitement rippled through the crowd. The opportunity the sect master mentioned turned out to be Bodhi seeds, What a revelation! Nevertheless, all disciples maintained a composed silence, striving to keep their excitement in check. This scene did not escape Chu Fan's notice, and he nodded in approval. After a span of 10 minutes, Qin Haoran successfully distributed all the Bodhi seeds, instructing each disciple to maintain some distance before beginning to swallow and refine the seeds. Guan Tianyue and Chu Fan stood nearby, vigilant against any unforeseen occurrences. Half an hour later, over 40 figures soared towards the plaza, landing gracefully beside Guan Tianyue, each greeting Chu Fan with a smile. Chu Fan sensed the essence of the Bodhi seeds emanating from them. Chu Fan, these are the elders responsible for teaching martial arts within the secret realm. They have just refined the Bodhi seeds, and I have informed them of your contribution to the sect. Guan Tianyue's words reached Chu Fan's ears just in time. Understanding now, Chu Fan reciprocated the elder's smiles, activating his insightful eye. To his astonishment, all 41 elders were at least at the first level of the Saint Lord realm, with 10 at the second level, 3 at the third, and 1 at the fourth. However, their auras were somewhat chaotic, likely due to their recent breakthroughs. With the presence of these elders, there was no longer any concern regarding the disciples' refinement of the Bodhi seeds. These disciples were truly the cream of the crop. Within a mere day, they had completely refined the Bodhi seeds. The most gifted among them, Qin Haoran, ascended to the 4th level of the Saint King realm, while the other disciples also advanced by 1 level. Moreover, every disciple experienced a significant enhancement in their comprehension, enabling them to navigate their future cultivation with remarkable ease. Techniques that once required extensive time for understanding could now be grasped in just a few days, or even less. This outcome left both Guan Tianyue and the elders present beaming with joy. Chapter 14. Required courses for inner disciples. By the time Chu Fan and Guan Tianyue exited the secret realm, it was already time for the new disciples to commence their lessons. Chu Fan, my nephew, we are well aware of what transpires here. It must remain confidential. Guan Tianyue cautioned, despite his trust in Chu Fan's discretion. Rest assured, Master Guan, I will keep it a secret, Chu Fan replied. Indeed, esteemed disciple. This is the token bestowed upon you by our venerable ancestor. With this token in hand, you are entitled to request 3 favors from each of the ancestors. Remember, it applies to every ancestor. Guan Tianyue presented a black token inscribed with a single character into Chu Fan's hands. This token was a collective decision made by all the ancestors of the Daoyi Sect, in gratitude for the peaches of immortality offered by Chu Fan, which freed them from their eternal slumber in coffins. This token came into existence. Chu Fan accepted it without hesitation, recognizing that while he may not require the ancestors' assistance at this moment, it might prove beneficial in the future. Observing that the lecture was about to commence, they hastened their steps. Thus, Guan Tianyue and Chu Fan made their way to the plaza before the Grand Hall, the very site where the disciples' talents had been tested. As disciples of the Daoyi Sect, one must uphold exemplary conduct and refrain from harming fellow sect members. Those who violate this principle will face the severest of consequences. In Daoyi Sect, you need not worry about a lack of cultivation resources. Although it may not be the strongest sect in the Eastern continent, ample resources for cultivation will be provided. Now that you have officially become inner disciples of the Daoyi Sect, you shall benefit from the preferential allocation of the sect's resources. I hope you will strive diligently in your cultivation, achieve great success, and repay the sect in kind. Upon their arrival, Chu Fan and Guan Tianyue beheld Elder Yin Lu imparting the sect's regulations to over 1,000 disciples, including Qing Shui, Jiang Feng, and Yixian. Clearly, during the evaluation of loyalty to the sect, nearly 2,000 of the 3,000 disciples undergoing inner sect training had been eliminated, unable to enter the inner sanctum for focused cultivation. Now, we shall proceed to more crucial matters that demand your utmost attention, as they pertain to your safety and well-being. Elder Yin Lu paused briefly before continuing. Should you venture outside for training, heed the following points. First, do not provoke individuals with the surnames Yi, Xiao, Gu, or Lin. Second, avoid crowded places, as seeking entertainment in such settings can lead to peril. Third, do not exhibit excessive compassion. Rushing to assist anyone in danger can result in entanglements and complications. Fourth, if you encounter danger, the primary principle is to avoid confrontation and flee at the earliest opportunity, while promptly seeking assistance from your fellow disciples and elders. Do you all remember these instructions? We shall adhere to the elders' guidance. Excellent. Now, the 4th elder, Zhenqi, will instruct you on how to arrange formations, which is immensely valuable. With that, Elder Yin Lu descended from the platform, and Elder Zhenqi ascended to begin teaching the arrangement of concealment and trapping formations. The over 1,000 disciples engaged earnestly in their studies. After several months of cultivation, most of this cohort had already attained the 8th level of Martial Master, with 2 or 3 reaching the 1st level of Martial King. all of whom possessed a foundational level of cultivation before joining the Daoyi Sect. Most remarkable among them were, of course, Qing Shui, Jiang Feng, and Yi Xian, each boasting a cultivation level above the second level of Martial King. Following them were the siblings Feng Huai and Feng Qian, who had both attained the first level of Martial King. It seems that the third and fifth elders have invested considerable effort in the development of these two individuals. Dear disciple Chu Fan, this batch of students is indeed commendable, although there remains a scarcity of those with green talents. I plan to select some prodigies to bestow the Bodhi seeds upon them once they reach the 7th level of the Martial King realm. What do you think, Master Guan? Since I have entrusted the Bodhi seeds to you, you are free to make the decisions. Haha, indeed. To mask his embarrassment, Guan Tianyue pretended to stroke his beard, only to realize he had none. The course on array formation lasted 3 days and nights before concluding. After staying for a little over an hour, Chu Fan returned to XuLing Peak. 3 days later, Qing Shui and Jiang Feng returned, but Yi Xian did not accompany them, as he had been taken back to the Holy Master Peak by Guan Tianyue for deeper cultivation. Master, we have returned. Qing Shui and Jiang Feng greeted Chu Fan. Follow me, he instructed, observing the two. Shaking his head gently, he noted their slow progress, one at the 4th level and the other at the 3rd level of the Martial King realm. It was time to unleash his trump card. Chu Fan led them to the summit of XuLing Peak, gesturing towards the 2 mats under the Bodhi tree. From this day forth, you shall cultivate beneath the Bodhi tree. You may only emerge once you have broken through to the martial venerable realm. Yes, Master, they replied, not daring to disobey, and settled onto the mats to enter a state of cultivation. Qing Shui, with her eternal body, combined with the system's reward of the eternal technique, could attain great mastery and comprehend the laws of time, one of the highest laws. Once comprehended, even a 9th level Holy Emperor could be slain by her. Similarly, Jiang Feng, possessing the Titan body, practiced the force technique, which revolved around strength. If cultivated to its utmost, he could validate the path of power and slay even an emperor, capable of splitting mountains and shattering seas. Both of their starting points were remarkably high, according to the standards of the Kanglan realm. Advancing several levels in such a brief period was a manifestation of extraordinary talent, especially considering Qing Shui began as a mortal. However, in Chu Fan's eyes, it was still insufficient. They needed to accelerate their progress. Both eternal technique and force technique were products of the system, though their exact grade was not stated. Chu Fan was certain they surpassed the divine level. The primary reason for Qing Shui and Jiang Feng's slow advancement lay in their incomplete comprehension of the techniques. As they were exceedingly profound, the solution was to enhance their comprehension and talents. While talent played a secondary role, merely determining the limits of their cultivation, comprehension was paramount. Both had consumed the Bodhi seeds, ensuring their comprehension was exceptional. If they were to explore the earth and heaven tier techniques of the Daoyi Sect, it would take no more than half an hour for them to achieve full understanding. Though a method to enhance their talents had yet to be discovered, Chu Fan was confident that one would emerge in due course. However, he already possessed a ready means to elevate their comprehension, the Bodhi tree itself. Cultivating beneath the Bodhi tree, once they entered a state of enlightenment, would exponentially increase their understanding of the techniques. Upon success, their cultivation would naturally flourish. Observing the two entering a meditative state, Chu Fan chose not to linger. He swiftly moved to a pavilion at the foot of the mountain, retrieved his complete fishing gear, and skillfully prepared the bait before leisurely embarking on his fishing endeavor. Chapter 15. Acquiring the Phoenix Rare Chickens. Qing Shui and Jiang Feng break through to the martial sovereign realm. Ding. Sign-in successful. Obtained a rare delicacy, a pair of Phoenix Rare Chickens. 3 days later, Chu Fan completed his sign-in task and received 2 Phoenix Rare Chickens. These exquisite creatures, along with the Ling Luo pig, Monxiang snake, and Chiming rabbit, are collectively known as the 4 great rarities of the world, each renowned for their exceptional culinary qualities. As time has passed, these 4 rare species have become extinct, with only scattered references to them surviving in culinary texts. Gazing at the 2 charmingly nestled Phoenix Rare Chickens before him, Chu Fan began to envision various culinary preparations. One was male and the other female. The female was adorned in soft brown plumage, each feather elegantly streamlined, while the male was strikingly beautiful, boasting resplendent feathers, a golden, filament-like crown upon its head, and an orange-brown fan of feathers at its neck, with a deep red body extending to its tail, which was a lovely brown hue. Ding. Sensing that the host intends to utilize the Phoenix Rare Chickens, a special reminder. Please make wise use of existing resources. Consume eggs while retaining the chickens to ensure a sustainable supply. Phoenix Rare Chicken eggs possess a certain probability of enhancing one's innate talent upon use. The system's prompt prompted Chu Fan to abandon his initial plan of frying them directly. He set down his fishing rod and, carrying one phoenix rare chicken in each hand, made his way to the peak, placing them beneath the peach divine tree. The phoenix rare chickens soon adapted to their unfamiliar surroundings, particularly enchanted by the peach divine tree. They circled around it incessantly, cooing with delight, clearly reveling in this new habitat. Observing Qingxue and Jiangfeng, he noted that they had entered a deep meditative state, indicating the effectiveness of their cultivation beneath the Bodhi tree. Thus, 6 tranquil months passed. During this time, Chu Fan devoted himself to fishing. Occasionally, he would release the fish he caught, while other times, hunger would lead him to cook ginger. He diligently completed his monthly sign-in tasks, though the rewards were often merely spiritual stones and assorted techniques. The 2 phoenix rare chickens established a nest beneath the peach divine tree on the summit of XuLing Peak, laying an egg every 3 days. By now, Chu Fan had collected 60 phoenix rare chicken eggs. Initially, the chickens resisted when he attempted to gather the eggs, but upon his stern warning of cooking them separately if they did not comply, they promptly submitted. Chu Fan allowed the phoenix rare chickens to incubate 10 eggs, while he retained the remaining 50, indulging in the delicacy whenever hunger struck. Indeed, the flavor of the phoenix rare chicken eggs was astonishingly delightful, leaving him yearning for more. However, in an effort to enhance Qingxue and Jiangfeng's talents, he refrained from consuming more than 5 eggs. One day, beneath the Bodhi tree, a stirring occurred with Qingxue and Jiangfeng. Their bodies were enveloped in a faint golden spiritual aura, which penetrated their forms and emerged anew. Throughout this process, some of the golden spiritual energy remained within them. This phenomenon persisted for 10 days, and when the golden aura dissipated, both Qingxue and Jiangfeng simultaneously opened their eyes, their cultivation levels soaring at that moment. Martial King Realm, 5th layer. Martial King Realm, 6th layer. Martial Sovereign Realm, 3rd layer. Only upon reaching the 3rd level of the Martial Sovereign Realm did the 2 individuals begin to stabilize their auras. Master, we have succeeded, exclaimed Qingxue and Jiangfeng with palpable excitement. Indeed, share with me your gains from the past 6 months. Sister, you go first. Master, during my cultivation over the past 6 months, I entered a mysterious space enveloped in darkness that did not instill fear within me. Within this realm, I was able to swiftly comprehend the essence of the longevity technique. I have now achieved a minor success in the longevity body and have grasped a hint of the laws of time. Showcase the time law you have comprehended. Chu Fan nodded, recognizing that Qingxue's experience mirrored her epiphany beneath the Bodhi tree. Although she did not reach a state of timelessness, her gains were significant. Yes, master, Qingxue replied, picking a small blade of grass from the ground and holding it in her palm, her gaze fixed intently upon it. After 3 breaths, one of the grass's leaves visibly withered. Master, this is the time law I have grasped, for now. It only allows plants to age rapidly within a certain time frame and does not inflict harm upon enemies. Qingxue conveyed her situation to Chu Fan. No worries. Every journey begins with a single step. You have now entered the realm. Continue your comprehension, and one day you will fully grasp the laws of time. Chu Fan encouraged her, pleased with her performance. The prerequisite for understanding the laws is to attain the status of a holy emperor. Once the comprehension of the laws reaches perfection, one can attempt to break through to the emperor realm. Throughout history, every emperor has at least comprehended one complete law, be it the law of light or elemental laws such as wood, water, fire, earth, and metal. Qingxue, being in the martial sovereign realm and already comprehending a law, is indeed ahead of her peers, warranting commendation. And you, Jiangfeng? Master, my situation is quite similar to that of senior sister, but I have not grasped the law of strength. Instead, I have created a unique technique for refining myself that enables my physical body to transcend its limits and exert tenfold power. You have done well. Chu Fan expressed his satisfaction with Jiangfeng's performance. His ability to synthesize the training scriptures from the strength technique into a self-created body refinement method is akin to possessing 2 divine-level techniques, both perfectly suited to him. I am quite pleased with your progress over the past 6 months. To celebrate, I shall prepare phoenix eggs for you both. Upon hearing Chu Fan mention the phoenix eggs, a phoenix hen, currently brooding beneath the peaches of immortality tree, suddenly sensed a chill wafting overhead. Oh, is that the chicken master brought back? Exclaimed Qingxue, her attention drawn to the stunning phoenix hen beneath the tree. As a girl, she naturally appreciated beauty, and upon seeing the male phoenix's exquisite plumage, she could not help but voice her admiration. Indeed, this is the phoenix hen I caught on my journey. They have laid some eggs, and consuming them may enhance your talents, Chu Fan explained. Presently, both Qingxue and Jiangfeng's talents remained at the blue level, and Chu Fan hoped to elevate them to the purple level through the consumption of the phoenix eggs. All right, let us proceed to the pavilion to boil the eggs. Today, each of you shall have 3. Hooray! Jiangfeng cheered, skipping joyfully down the mountain. Chapter 16. The Invitation from the Falling Sunset Sect Master. These phoenix pearl eggs are simply exquisite. I must have more, Jiang Feng exclaimed, having devoured one in mere moments and clamoring for a second. Chu Fan chuckled softly at the youthful exuberance displayed by the 20-something-year-old, attributing it to his years of seclusion in the remote mountains, far removed from the world beyond. In contrast, Qing Shui exhibited a composed demeanor, savoring her phoenix pearl egg delicately, taking small, measured bites in a manner befitting a lady. There are 2 more for you. Chu Fan indicated towards the 4 eggs in the pot. Without hesitation, Jiang Feng quickly retrieved one, peeled it, and consumed it in one swift motion. Once both Jiang Feng and Qing Shui had finished their eggs, Chu Fan inquired, "So, do you feel anything unusual?" "Not at all, master. It's merely that I no longer feel hungry," Jiang Feng replied, scratching his head, while Qing Shui nodded in agreement. "Very well. You must each consume 3 eggs daily until your talents are fully enhanced," Chu Fan instructed before returning to his fishing. Jiang Feng, understanding the implication, tidied up the pot and made his way toward the gate of the XuLing Sect. 5 days later, while immersed in his fishing, Chu Fan was approached hurriedly by Qing Shui and Jiang Feng. "Master, we did it!" Jiang Feng shouted, his face alight with excitement. Qing Shui maintained a more subdued expression, yet traces of joy flickered across her features. Upon hearing Jiang Feng's declaration, Chu Fan activated his insightful eye to reassess their information. He noted that both Qing Shui and Jiang Feng's talents had transformed into a shade of purple. "Excellent. I can see your talents have indeed advanced. Now, go seek the sect leader to acquire the concealment technique," Chu Fan commanded. Following the sect's evaluation, inner disciples of the Daoyi Sect could practice the concealment technique. However, given that Qing Shui and Jiang Feng had dedicated the past 6 months to their training, they were slightly delayed. Nonetheless, it mattered little. The sole purpose of the technique was to obscure one's cultivation level, and with their innate understanding, they would master it in no time. 3 days later, all the elders of the Daoyi Sect convened, and Chu Fan was present. Guan Tianyue presided over the meeting from a grand chair, flanked by 6 outer elders and 10 inner elders, including Chu Fan, who also held the title of Peak Master. The 41 elders residing within the secret realm remained unseen unless absolutely necessary. "I have summoned you all today to discuss a matter of great importance. The sect leader of the Falling Sunset Sect has extended an invitation for us to visit, along with a proposal for several duels among our new disciples." Guan Tianyue announced gravely. "Master, why has the Falling Sunset Sect suddenly invited us? Haven't they always engaged with the Wind-Walking Sect?" Elder Yin LV queried with a hint of confusion. The Falling Sunset Sect ranks 7th among the 8 great sacred sects of the Eastern continent, while the Wind-Walking Sect is ranked 8th. Given that the Daoyi Sect typically maintains a low profile, it rarely engages in martial exchanges with other sacred sects, as many perceive the capabilities of its disciples to be lacking. According to the information I have gathered, the Falling Sunset Sect has recently accepted several talented disciples over the past 2 years. It seems they have achieved significant progress and, wishing to avoid overwhelming the Wind-Walking Sect, have turned their attention towards us, Guan Tianyue explained, his countenance heavy with concern. The other elders were equally at a loss. "This is quite troublesome, Sect Master. Why must the Wanxia Sect target us? We have already maintained a low profile." The 3rd elder, Ling Yu, interjected, "What are the realms of those disciples from the Wanxia Sect? 1 is at the 7th level of the Martial King realm, and 2 are at the 6th level. This complicates matters. Yixian has already reached the 9th level of the Martial King realm, and the other disciples are all within the 6th level. While dealing with the 2 at the 6th level poses no significant challenge, the 1 at the 7th level presents a dilemma," the 2nd elder, Qi Xing, remarked with a furrowed brow, uncertain of the best course of action. Chu Fan remained silent throughout, absorbing the discussions among the elders. He realized that Guan Tianyue and the elders were not so much concerned about being bullied by the Wanxia Sect as they were about finding a way to appear as normal as possible when accepting the challenge, allowing for a win or loss, yet avoiding overly dramatic displays. If all else fails, let Yixian participate as a 7th level Martial King, accompanied by a 6th level and a 5th level disciple. We can arrange for Yixian to narrowly win, while the other 2 disciples achieve a draw and a defeat. Guan Tianyue finally concluded. "Excellent idea, Sect Master. This way, the Wanxiao Sect will be none the wiser, and a draw will prevent them from becoming overly arrogant." 4th elder Jin Qi applauded, and the other elders nodded in agreement. With the participants decided, it was time to arrange for the leading elders. "We will require 2 leaders for the expedition. Let Chu Fan and the 5th elder take charge, shall we?" Guan Tianyue suggested, glancing at Chu Fan. Qi Xing had no objections regarding Guan Tianyue's arrangement, but the key lay with Chu Fan, whose status was rather unique. Guan Tianyue posed his question in a consultative tone. After a moment of contemplation, Chu Fan agreed. Since I have nothing pressing to attend to, it would be a good opportunity to explore and allow Qing Shui and Jiang Feng to experience the world and witness the disciples of other sections. Very well. We shall depart the day after tomorrow, Guan Tianyue declared, concluding the meeting. Upon returning to XuLing Peak, Chu Fan summoned Qing Shui and Jiang Feng, informing them of the impending journey to the Daoyi Sect and instructing them to suppress their realms to the 4th level of the Martial King realm. Senior sister, I thought Master was taking us to thoroughly defeat the disciples of the Daoyi Sect, but it seems it's merely an observation. I'm itching for action. Jiang Feng lamented after Chu Fan left. Junior brother, have you forgotten the rules of our Daoyi Sect? We must remain low-key. With our strength, it would be effortless to handle those from the Daoyi Sect who have yet to reach the martial venerable realm. Are you not afraid that revealing your exceptional talents might attract unwanted attention? Those who covet what they cannot possess can be ruthlessly destructive, Qing Shui admonished. After her guidance, Jiang Feng found solace and underwent a shift in mindset. You are right, senior sister. It is best to quietly enhance ourselves. 2 days later, Chu Fan, accompanied by Qing Shui and Jiang Feng, arrived at the square. Their spatial rings were filled with the escape talismans, thunder talismans, protective charms, and other items that Chu Fan had recently provided, all prepared for unforeseen circumstances. These talismans boasted the power of a first-level sacred emperor, acquired during Chu Fan's previous endeavors. These low-level talismans are as worthless as refuse to Chu Fan, yet they are perfectly suitable for Qing Shui and the others. In the square, familiar faces awaited their arrival. Elder Yin Lu, Elder Qi Si Yun, Yi Xian, Feng Huai, Feng Qian, and 2 inner disciples. Upon introduction, it was revealed that these 2 inner disciples were students of Elder Lu from Tianju Peak. One was named Li Yoji, who had ascended to the peak first during the disciple recruitment ceremony, boasting a cultivation level of the 6th stage of the Martial King realm, while the other was named Meng Zhe at the 5th stage of the same realm. Both exhibited their true cultivation levels, a necessity as mandated by Elder Yin Lu. Chapter 17. Arrival at the Falling Sunset Sect. The competition begins with everyone gathered. It was time to set forth. Remember, when encountering danger outside, your primary concern should be your own safety. Do not hesitate to utilize those protective talismans, and always be ready to call for help. Daoyi Sect will always be your steadfast support, Elder Yin Lu solemnly advised. Understood, Elder, came the unified response from Yi Xian and the others. Thus, under Qi Si Yun's guidance, the group of 9 boarded the flying vessel, hastening towards the Falling Sunset Sect. As soon as the vessel departed from Daoyi Sect, Chu Fan sensed an anomaly. He surveyed the surroundings with his insightful eye, revealing a mysterious smile. In Daoyi Sect, everyone was cunningly astute. Daoyi Sect is located in the southeastern region of the eastern continent, while the Falling Sunset Sect lies to the east. The journey from Daoyi Sect to Falling Sunset Sect would take 3 days by flying vessel. Qi Si Yun directed the vessel with her mental energy while sitting cross-legged, refining her medicinal pills. Chu Fan admired the scenery below, while Yi Xian and the others engaged in conversation. Qing Shui, what is your current cultivation level? I refuse to believe you are still at the 4th stage of the Martial King realm after 6 months, Yi Xian inquired quietly. I have reached the 9th stage of the Martial King realm. Remember to keep it confidential, Brother Yi, Qing Shui replied playfully. Indeed, Sister Qing Shui is truly formidable. I shall keep your secret. Yi Xian smiled, shifting the topic to discuss the upcoming competition with Li Yoji and Meng Zhe. Feng Huai and Feng Qian, being familiar with Jiang Feng, conversed about their cultivation progress over the past 6 months. Feng Huai's master was quite strict, resulting in rapid advancement in his realm. Feng Qian, on the other hand, focused primarily on alchemy, leading to a slower cultivation pace. However, it should be noted that she and Feng Huai had consumed Bodhi seeds, making her progress relatively swift compared to Jiang Feng and others. 3 days later, Qi Si Yun rose and glanced outside the vessel before announcing, everyone, prepare yourselves. We shall arrive at the Falling Sunset Sect in 15 minutes. The vessel had now entered the territory of the Falling Sunset Sect, with a short distance remaining to the main hall. Upon hearing Qi Si Yun's words, the meditating disciples opened their eyes, tidied themselves, and stood in formation behind Qi Si Yun, ready to showcase the demeanor of Daoyi Sect upon their arrival at the Falling Sunset Sect. 15 minutes later, the flying vessel descended onto the vast square of the Falling Sunset Sect, where the elders of the sect had been awaiting their arrival. The layout of the Falling Sunset Sect is akin to that of the Daoyi Sect, surrounded by majestic mountains. Amidst the peaks, one can faintly discern pavilions and towers, while clouds and mist swirl around the mountain summits, accentuating an ethereal aura. Ah, welcome, friends of the Daoyi Sect, remarked Elder Yin Song, the 3rd elder of the Falling Sunset Sect, whom Qi Si Yun recognized and greeted with clasped hands. The two parties soon introduced themselves. Upon noticing that Chu Fan, at the tender age of 26, had already ascended to the position of peak master in the Daoyi Sect, a flicker of astonishment crossed Elder Yinsong's face. With a cultivation level at the first stage of the Saint King realm, this elder was indeed gifted. It was no wonder he had been granted the exceptional status of elder in the Daoyi Sect. While the Falling Sunset Sect certainly had its share of disciples at the first stage of the Saint King realm, they were, in age, somewhat senior to Chu Fan. Elder Yinsong merely expressed momentary surprise, harboring no further thoughts. Every holy sect boasts a few outstanding disciples. One cannot afford to be envious of each encounter. Guests are invited. Let us partake in a feast tonight, and tomorrow we shall engage in our contest. Elder Yinsong invited the members of the Daoyi Sect into the Grand Hall. It appeared that Elder Yinsong was the one responsible for overseeing this competition, while the sect leader of the Falling Sunset Sect was in seclusion. After some casual conversation, Chu Fan and his companions were assigned accommodations in several grand courtyards, awaiting the arrival of the next day. Dong, dong, dong. The sound of 3 resounding bells echoed through the square as over 1,000 inner disciples of the Falling Sunset Sect gathered, ready to witness the contest between the disciples of the Daoyi Sect and their own seniors. Elder Chi, as discussed last night, let us commence with the matches of the less formidable disciples. The focus of this competition is on exchange, rather than victory or defeat. What do you think? That is indeed the intention, Chi Siyun replied with a smile, all the while internally scoffing. Merely a pretense of indifference to victory or defeat. Otherwise, why would you extend an invitation to our Daoyi Sect? Is it not just a guise to flaunt your prestige under the pretense of sparring? Alas, the plans may be audacious, but the choice of opponent is misguided. Elder Yinsong nodded toward the chief judge on the arena, who then announced the commencement of the first match. Now, let us welcome Ning Ku from the Falling Sunset Sect and Meng Zhe from the Daoyi Sect to the stage. As the chief judge's words fell, a young man with a notably wide forehead leaped onto the arena from the ranks of the Falling Sunset Sect. His hair was sparse, his eyes narrow, and his physique somewhat frail, evoking a sense of malnutrition. Go Ning Ku! Go Ning Ku! The surrounding disciples erupted in a chorus of encouragement, their voices rising above one another. Meng Zhe also stepped onto the stage, standing resolutely before Ning Ku in silence. 5th stage of the Martial King realm? Has the Daoyi Sect no one else to send? Very well, I shall defeat you with a single move. Ning Ku sneered upon noting that Meng Zhe's cultivation was 1 tier below his own. Make your move, Meng Zhe replied calmly with just 3 words. Come on, Ning Ku. Take him down in 1 blow and show them the prowess of our Falling Sunset Sect, shouted the disciples. Indeed, unleash your strength. Annihilate him. Upon hearing the fervent cheers of the disciples, Elder Yinsong discreetly glanced at Chi Siyun and her companions, noticing their unperturbed demeanor, and his lips twitched in annoyance. Oh, let them pretend. Once Ning Ku triumphs over your disciple, the truth shall inevitably reveal itself. Originally, all of this was a meticulously orchestrated scheme by the Falling Sunset Sect, aimed at directly humiliating the Daoyi Sect. This was merely a preliminary probe. More machinations were already in motion as they plotted to undermine Daoyi Sect and elevate themselves to the 6th position. However, this scheme had been thoroughly discerned by Chi Siyun and Chu Fan, rendering the Falling Sunset Sect's petty tricks utterly ineffective. The two remained in tranquil repose. Seeing that Chu Fan said nothing, Yi Xian and the others felt it inappropriate to speak. On the arena, Ning Ku made his move, exuding an air of extreme confidence. His right hand, infused with the strength of a 6th-tier martial king, aimed directly at Meng Zhe's chest. Do not be deceived by Ning Ku's slender frame. His attack speed was anything but slow, leaving a trail of afterimages as he advanced toward Meng Zhe. Unperturbed, Meng Zhe extended his own hand to counter Ning Ku's assault. The clash of their palms echoed through the audience, producing a resounding boom. Ning Ku staggered back 3 steps while Meng Zhe was pushed back over 20 steps, finally stabilizing himself near the edge of the arena. In that single exchange, the disparity was unmistakable. Ning Ku appeared to have the upper hand, at least on the surface. You rascal, how did you acquire such strength? Ning Ku's face flushed slightly upon realizing he couldn't knock Meng Zhe off the stage in 1 blow. Next time, I shall not hold back. Chapter 18. All our Oscar-worthy actors. Meng Zhe, the junior disciple, displayed remarkable prowess, skillfully handling the 6th-tier martial king opponent. Observing the ongoing exchange between Meng Zhe and Ning Ku, which had already surpassed 10 exchanges without a sign of defeat, Yi Xian nodded in approval. Brother Yi, Meng Zhe is renowned at the sky-dwelling peak for his immense strength. It is no surprise he can contend against an opponent of a higher tier. Frankly, with Ning Ku's mediocre skills, I believe Meng Zhe could defeat him within 10 moves. Were it not for what remains unsaid, Li Yoji hesitated to continue. This was unavoidable. Prior to their arrival, Elder Yin Lu had explicitly instructed them not to reveal their full capabilities. Yi Xian nodded, acknowledging that Meng Zhe's strength placed him among the elite of the new disciples, truly deserving of being one of the favored protégés of the Sky-Dwelling Peak's master. The first match unfolded with fervor. Ning Ke's initial arrogance and confidence transformed into a flushed embarrassment as the cheers from the audience diminished significantly. Some disciples of the Falling Sunset Sect began to question whether Ning Ke had indulged too much the previous night, as he had yet to subdue even a fifth-tier Martial King opponent. What had happened to the promised single-strike victory? They had already exceeded 30 exchanges. How embarrassing. Seeing that Ning Ke was on the brink of losing control, Meng Zhe discerned the opportune moment and slightly exposed a flaw, which Ning Ke seized upon. With a resounding thud, Meng Zhe was struck and fell from the arena. In this contest, Ning Ke of the Falling Sunset Sect emerged victorious. Breathless from exertion, the fleeting shadow of darkness crossed Ning Ke's eyes, devoid of any joy in victory. It took him a full 30 exchanges to defeat Meng Zhe, who was of a lower tier. Had they been of equal standing, it was clear he would have been the one to lose. The disciples of the Falling Sunset Sect shared this sentiment, remaining silent in their celebration, each hoping for redemption in the subsequent matches. Meng, you performed admirably, Yi Xian commended, patting Meng Zhe on the shoulder. Thank you, my esteemed senior. Now, we shall observe the performance of our esteemed brothers. Meng Zhe grinned widely, casting a glance at Yi Xian and Li Youji. The trio squinted slightly, revealing a mischievous smile. To swiftly mask this atmosphere, Ning Ke exited the stage, prompting Elder Yin to instruct the head judge to announce the second round of competition. In this second match, Li Youji of the Daoyi Sect faced an opponent of equal prowess, a 6th-level Martial King named Cheng Qianqian from the inner sect of the Falling Sunset Sect. The duel lasted nearly an hour, with both 6th-level Martial Kings collapsing onto the arena, gasping for breath, utterly devoid of strength to rise. The contest concluded in a draw, leaving Elder Yin with a somewhat displeased expression. Yi Xian and Meng Zhe aided Li Youji back to his feet, while Fang Qian casually administered a recovery pill, a failed product from her alchemical studies, which offered only a modest boost to his spiritual energy. After consuming the pill, Li Youji feigned a brief period of recuperation before regaining his mobility. As the final match approached, the head judge urgently called for Zhou Tong and Yi Xian to take the stage. Zhou Tong was the most distinguished disciple recruited by the Falling Sunset Sect this year, having ascended to the 8th level of Martial King in a mere 2 years. Indeed, just last night, Zhou Tong had achieved a breakthrough from the 7th level. Zhou Tong, defeat him and uphold the honor of our Falling Sunset Sect. Give it your all, brother Zhou. Upon Zhou Tong's entrance, the previously despondent disciples erupted into excitement, fervently cheering for him, a testament to his immense popularity. Elder Yin also displayed a hint of a smile, believing Zhou Tong's presence would secure victory. Yi Xian, at the 7th level of Martial King, might be capable of fighting above his rank, yet Zhou Tong could do the same. It was safe to assert that Zhou Tong was destined for triumph in the third match. I am Zhou Tong. You may strike first, he declared, his demeanor amiable and courteous. Very well, Yi Xian replied, foregoing further dialogue and launching his assault. He tempered his strength to that of a 7th-level Martial King, refraining from utilizing the enhancement of the Flame God body, and employed the low-grade Earth-level fist technique of the Daoyi Sect to initiate his attack on Zhou Tong. Zhou Tong did not immediately counterattack. Instead, he adeptly evaded Yi Xian's fists, seemingly allowing Yi Xian a modicum of advantage. Unperturbed, Yi Xian recognized the playful nature of Zhou Tong's tactics, and in turn, he decided to engage in a bit of jest himself. After executing 3 different offensive techniques and launching over 20 strikes, he intensified his force and quickened his speed, landing a solid hit on the evasive Zhou Tong. Zhou Tong staggered back, chuckling, impressive. You managed to strike me. Thus, I shall now take the initiative. Aware that the time had come to abandon his playful demeanor, lest he appear overly arrogant and invite criticism, Zhou Tong resolved to treat each opponent with the seriousness they deserved, reflecting his understanding of diligent practice. The audience, sensing the impending climax, focused intently as Zhou Tong unleashed his strikes, enveloping the arena in a cloud of dust, obscuring the figures of Yi Xian and Zhou Tong from view. Yin Zong reclined comfortably in his chair, a satisfied smile adorning his face. The fact that Zhou Tong had taken the initiative indicated that the match was nearing its conclusion. However, as the spectators observed, the atmosphere shifted from exuberance to uncertainty, their expressions reflecting astonishment, as some even showed signs of shock. For Yi Xian had yet to be defeated, engaging Zhou Tong in a tit-for-tat exchange. How could this be? How was Yi Xian managing to hold his own? After half an hour had elapsed, Yi Xian and Zhou Tong retreated to their respective positions, gazing at one another without launching further attacks. Elder Yinzong, it appears these two are evenly matched, neither able to gain the upper hand. Given that this is merely a sparring session, might we declare this round a draw? Qi Siyun proposed, rising to address Yinzong. Very well. Let it conclude as a draw, Yinzong replied, though his mood was far from pleasant. This outcome diverged significantly from his original plans. Yet he maintained a facade of composure. He had high hopes for Zhou Tong, believing he could diminish the reputation of the Daoyi Sect, only to discover that they too harbored such talent capable of standing toe-to-toe with Zhou Tong. With Yinzang's nod, the competition came to an end. Although no clear victor emerged, it was evident to the Luoxia sect that, in comparison, they had ultimately lost. You are formidable, yet I am no weakling either. A year from now, we shall battle again, Zhou Tong declared, brimming with determination. Indeed, I hope you will grow stronger by then, Yi Xian replied cryptically. Though Zhou Tong failed to grasp the implication, rest assured, when the time comes, you will witness my true capabilities, Zhou Tong affirmed. Confident that he had hidden cards yet to be played, requiring just a year to master them and ensure a decisive victory over Yi Xian. As the disciples of the Luoxia sect dispersed, Yinzong extended an invitation to Qi Siyun and the others for a meal. However, Qi Siyun declined, citing her extended absence, and took her leave with Yi Xian and the others aboard a flying vessel, departing from the Luoxia sect. She recognized that Yinzong was making a concerted effort to manage his emotions, and there was no need to linger any longer, as their mission had been accomplished. Although the outcome had deviated somewhat from their initial expectations, the results were still commendable. Chapter 19. Encounter with Guerrilla Bandits. Elder, did we perform adequately? On board the flying vessel, Yi Xian and his companions eagerly awaited validation from Qi Siyun and Chu Fan. You did exceptionally well. Not only did you conceal your strengths, but you also disrupted the plans of the Luoxia sect. The sight of their forced restraint, turning red in the face, nearly made me laugh aloud, Qi Siyun praised. Chu Fan added, there was considerable talent in your performance, particularly Li Yoji, who feigned exhaustion to the point of collapse. Even I could not discern any flaws. The expedition to the Luoxia sect could be deemed a resounding success. During the return journey, the group engaged in light-hearted conversation. The following day, as the flying vessel traversed a desolate mountain range, Chu Fan suddenly opened his eyes, whispering, they are coming. At that moment, Qi Siyun rose, urging, everyone, stay vigilant. We have a situation. Upon hearing her warning, Qing Shui, Jiang Feng, and the others sharpened their focus, retrieving protective talismans. They affixed these to themselves while assisting others in doing the same. Subsequently, they produced thunder talismans and explosive charms, ready to unleash them at the first sign of an approaching enemy. 10 breaths later, outside Chu Fan's flying vessel, 10 ships of various forms appeared, all of which were of the same rank as Chu Fan's, Earth-level top-grade flying spiritual artifacts. The individuals aboard proclaimed, surrender all your treasures and lay down your weapons, or face death. From the 10 vessels emerged a total of 30 masked figures, each exuding a formidable aura. A cursory glance revealed that the weakest among them was at the 5th level of the Holy King realm, while the strongest was at the 1st level of the Holy Emperor realm. This was indeed a powerful organization. After inspecting the information of these individuals with his insightful eye, Chu Fan turned to Qi Siyun and inquired, Elder Qi, do you know what faction Sieta, Ho Yong, and Lu Xingdi belong to? Qi Siyun cast a surprised glance at Chu Fan before shaking her head. I have not heard of them. These names do not belong to any other holy sects. They are likely part of a rogue band. With that, Qi Siyun shattered a jade slip. Observing this, the others, except for Chu Fan, followed suit and crushed their own slips. The purpose of these slips was to send a distress signal, and as they were destroyed, the Daoyi Sect, far away, received the plea for help immediately. Master, the 5th elder and the others are in peril. Very well, notify the elders hidden in the shadows, instructing them to remain discreet and avoid arousing suspicion. Understood. Back with Chu Fan and his companions. The masked figures outside grew increasingly impatient as they noted that Chu Fan and his group had yet to exit the vessel. The leader, a middle-aged man named Sieta, at the 1st level of the Holy Emperor realm, proclaimed, I will give you another half-minute. If you do not emerge, I will take action. Even your strongest is merely at the 8th level of the Holy King realm, and escape will be impossible. Sieta spoke with audacity, convinced of his impending victory. Unfazed, Chu Fan turned to Qi Siyun, Elder Qi, what is your plan? With Qi Siyun's prowess at the 8th level of the Holy Emperor realm, eliminating these masked assailants would be a simple task. However, doing so quickly would risk leaving some of them unaccounted for. Prudence and discretion had always characterized the Daoyi Sect's approach, which was why Chu Fan deliberately posed the question. Qi Siyun was unaware of the other elders' covert protection. It was only through Chu Fan's powerful spiritual sense and the assistance of his insightful eye that he grasped the situation. Let us wait a moment longer. I trust that reinforcements from the Daoyi Sect will arrive shortly. Chu Fan, my disciple, I will attempt to hold off the masked figures. You must quickly set up a confinement array around us. Qi Xiyun began to devise a strategy, then turned to Qing Shui and the others. You shall stay behind Elder Chu, continually using explosive talismans to disrupt them. Do you understand? Yes, Elder. Once the plan was confirmed, Qi Xiyun took a deep breath and stepped out of the vessel, confronted by 30 experts of at least the 5th level of the Holy King realm. Her demeanor remained calm, betraying no hint of panic. Who are you? Do you realize this is the flying vessel of the Daoyi Sect? The Daoyi Sect? Huh. If the sect master were here, I might show some respect, but with you mere lackeys, I suggest you surrender voluntarily. Otherwise, we shall take your treasures from your corpses. What audacity, to dare to abduct members of the Daoyi Sect. Before Qi Xiyun could respond, a commanding voice resonated from the left side of the masked figures. Chu Fan and the others looked on as the elders of the Daoyi Sect appeared, except for the Grand Elder Yin LV, who was absent. All other elders had arrived, accompanied by 10 elders from the secret realm, totaling 17 individuals. Each emanated an aura corresponding to the 6th to 9th levels of the Sacred King realm. The elders had arrived with remarkable speed. Yi Xian exclaimed in astonishment, unaware that these elders had been lurking in the shadows, believing they had come in response to their distress signal. Upon the appearance of these elders, Qi Xiyun smiled, saying, Feng Huai, Feng Qian, and all of you, open your eyes wide and observe. The elders will personally demonstrate how to respond when faced with danger. Do not think that having assistance means you can overpower us. There are barely 20 of you. How can you contend with us? Brothers, advance. Upon seeing the arrival of reinforcements, Sieta was taken aback but quickly rallied his comrades to act, fearing a delay might lead to unforeseen consequences. Step back a bit. Chu Fan's nephew. Keep an eye on them, Qi Xiyun instructed, shielding her companions behind her before soaring into the fray. Numerous elders, including Qi Xing, Ling Yu, and Jin Shi, also sprang into action, some choosing a masked opponent while others took on two. Haha. Your strongest is merely at the 9th level of the Sacred King realm. How can you contend with me, a 1st-level Sacred Emperor? Haha, this is impossible. Sieta laughed heartily as he charged towards the 2nd Elder Qi Xing, unleashing his most powerful strike at the 1st level of the Sacred Emperor realm. He believed he could resolve the matter with a single blow against a Sacred King of the 9th level. But his confidence faltered the moment his palm made contact with Qi Xing's raised fist. The overwhelming force that shattered all in its path surged through his hand and into his body, obliterating his internal organs and even annihilating his consciousness. You are not at the 9th level of the Sacred King realm. Sieda's words remained unspoken as he lost consciousness entirely, collapsing to the ground like a heavy sack. Reduced to a mere heap of mud, the other masked individuals met a similar fate, suffering devastating blows upon their first actions. It was only in their final moments that they realized the elders of the Daoyi Sect were not merely at the Sacred King realm. They were clearly formidable figures at the 7th or 8th levels of the Sacred Emperor realm. If this were to be disclosed, it would surely alter the balance of power in the Eastern continent. Alas, this secret would perish alongside them. The prowess of these elders was astonishing. Feng Huai, Feng Qian, and the others watched in wide-eyed disbelief. Although they were aware that their masters and elders concealed their true strength, they had not anticipated it to be so profound. With these bandits falling before a single strike. 3 minutes later, the elders of the Daoyi Sect stored the 10 floating vessels into their spatial rings. After thoroughly cleansing the area of the deceased 30 masked individuals, Elder Qi Xing withdrew the numerous concealed formations surrounding them, vanishing into the darkness under the watchful gaze of her companions. Chapter 20. The Unconscious Maiden at Sea. Let us go. Although the scene has been entirely cleared, we must remain vigilant. Qi Xiyun grasped Feng Qian's hand as they returned to the flying vessel. Feng Qian gazed enviously at her master. Having just witnessed Qi Xiyun effortlessly slay a masked individual at the 9th level of the Sacred King realm with a single palm strike. Such strength was undoubtedly at least at the 3rd level of the Sacred Emperor realm. What realm she was in remained unclear to her, and she dared not inquire. Within the Daoyi Sect, such questions were typically reserved for those with whom one shared a profound bond. Yet, whether the truth would be divulged was uncertain. For probing into another's genuine cultivation was deemed highly inappropriate. At least in the Daoyi Sect, such behavior was strictly forbidden. Thus, despite witnessing the elders demonstrate their formidable prowess for the first time, none dared to question the extent of their abilities, even if they did ask. They would receive no answer. After all, they were undeniably powerful. The group obediently boarded the flying vessel. At that moment, a voice resonated within Chu Fan's mind. Ding. Mission initiated. Please accept your third disciple within 3 days. A generous reward awaits upon completion. Special note. One of the rewards is the Xian Huang Tower. The Xian Huang Tower, a divine artifact of great merit, promised liberation from the entanglements of karma and possessed many other benefits yet to be discovered. Chu Fan felt a surge of desire. The Xian Huang Tower, a legendary super artifact said to have fallen from the celestial realm to the Kanglan realm, had never been seen by anyone. Most knowledge of it stemmed from ancient texts. Master Qi, I suddenly have an urgent matter to attend to. Please escort them back for me. I shall return once I have concluded my affairs. Very well, Chu Fan, take care on your journey, Qi Xiyun replied, nodding without pressing for details about his errand. Qing Shui, Jiang Feng, upon your return, reflect carefully on the experiences of these past few days and focus on your cultivation. Whoever breaks through shall receive the Ziwa sword as a reward, Chu Fan instructed, summoning Qing Shui and Jiang Feng. Yes, master, we shall, they replied, their eyes glimmering with determination at the prospect of acquiring the low-grade heavenly spirit tool, the Ziwa sword. Once he had given his instructions, Chu Fan departed the flying vessel. Watching it grow distant, he began to ponder his next course of action. System, 3 days is far too short. I have no clue where to begin. Please provide some guidance, he protested internally. Head east. The system offered its guidance before falling silent. To the east lay the vast, boundless sea. Resolute. Chu Fan prepared to soar away on his sword. Only to recall a matter, he turned back and addressed the void behind him. Elder Qi, you need not follow me. I shall return in a few days. Startled, Qi Xing and several elders concealed in the shadows were taken aback. They had not anticipated that Chu Fan would perceive them. It seemed he possessed considerable skill. Very well, do exercise caution, Qi Xing responded, then steered the flying vessel to catch up with Qi Xiyun and the others. They understood that with Chu Fan's capabilities, his self-preservation was assured. Once assured that no one was tailing him, Chu Fan breathed a sigh of relief and guided the Ziwa sword eastward with haste. A day later, he reached the farthest eastern point, beyond which lay the vast, unending ocean. The sea breeze, tinged with a faint scent of salt, enveloped him as he gazed towards the distant waters. Could it be that the third disciple he sought resided within the sea? Yet, the ocean was home only to aquatic beasts, and it was improbable for any person to survive there. System, are you deceiving me? The system remained silent, prompting Chu Fan to refrain from further complaints. He wandered along the shoreline, uncovering nothing of significance. As half a day passed, the sun began its descent, leaving only the reflections of the evening glow in the eastern sky. At that moment, Chu Fan noticed a dilapidated wooden raft drifting on the sea, upon which lay a young girl in white, clearly unconscious. Ding! Target detected. Chu Fan immediately leaped into action, rescuing the girl and bringing her back to the shore, where he activated the Eye of Insight. Ling Qingxian, 20 years old. Cultivation, 6th level of the Martial King Realm. Physique, reincarnation body, a celestial being reincarnated. Yet unaware of her previous life's memories. Talent, golden. Astoundingly, a reincarnated celestial with golden talent. This was indeed remarkable, only slightly inferior to Chu Fan, who possessed a system. Chu Fan felt as if he had stumbled upon a treasure. Using his energy, he dried Ling Qingshuan's hair and clothing before administering a medicinal pill. Within moments, she regained consciousness. Did you save me? She asked groggily, noticing the handsome young man beside her. The next instant, her expression shifted dramatically as she sprang to her feet and ran towards the sea. My Xiaoku, having seen her alone and unconscious at sea, Chu Fan had rescued her. Thank you, she managed to say, then half squatted on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. Chu Fan silently observed, choosing not to intrude. From her words, it was clear that Xiaoku was either a friend or a loved one, and the two had encountered peril at sea, becoming separated. It was highly probable that Xiaoku was no longer with her. After a quarter of an hour, Ling Qingshuan's emotions settled, though tears still shimmered in her eyes, leaving traces upon her cheeks. Would you care to share your story? Chu Fan gently inquired, sensing her need for a confidant. Ling Qingxian looked up at him, feeling the warmth of his kind smile, and nodded softly. For an entire hour, she recounted her tale. She had been raised by an elderly man in a coastal village. A year prior, upon the old man's passing, she departed from the village. It was merely a month after her departure that she encountered her best friend, a three-tailed white fox whom she named Xiaoku. Ever since meeting Xiaoku, Ling Qingxian discovered her ability to cultivate. Each morning upon awakening, she felt her powers significantly advance. In less than a year, she had reached the 6th level of the Martial King realm. However, just half a month ago, Xiaoku suddenly fell ill and lapsed into a deep coma. Desperate for a cure, she searched for remedies in vain until she heard of a rare sea clam deep in the ocean whose blue pearls, when ground into powder, could save Xiaoku. Resolute, she embarked on her journey into the sea, only to encounter disaster 3 days later. In her direst moment, Xiaoku awakened, emitting a radiant light that propelled her toward the shore while itself sank into the depths, devoured by a sea beast. When Ling Qingxian regained consciousness, she found herself before Chu Fan. After hearing Ling Qingshuan's poignant story, Chu Fan lamented the misfortune of this girl, who had lost even her dearest friend and was now left utterly alone. Young lady, I am an elder of the Daoyi Sect. Since you have nowhere to go, would you be willing to become my disciple? Gazing into Chu Fan's sincere eyes, Ling Qingxian inexplicably perceived the hazy visage she had encountered in her dreams. His eyes bore an uncanny resemblance to those of Chu Fan. Was this destiny's design? Ling Qingxian murmured softly, then knelt before Chu Fan, saying, Master, please accept my humble bow. When she raised her head again, her gaze had solidified with determination. Chapter 21, The Transformation Pool Ding. Congratulations on successfully acquiring a disciple. Rewards received: Reincarnation Technique, Azure Garment, Xianhuang Tower, Insight into Spirit Arrays. As Ling Qingxian completed her act of homage, Chu Fan was bestowed with rewards from the system. Since you have chosen me as your master, I shall also present you with gifts. With that, Chu Fan transmitted the essence of the reincarnation technique from Ling Qingshuan's brow into her mind, allowing her to gradually comprehend it in the days to come. As for the Bodhi seed, it would be consumed upon returning to the Daoyi Sect. Chu Fan was committed to treating his disciples equitably. After imparting the reincarnation technique, a resplendent azure garment appeared in Chu Fan's hands, embroidered with the image of the divine beast, the Qing Wan, exuding an ethereal aura. Wear this garment. It is impervious to water and fire, capable of withstanding attacks from opponents below the first level of the Sacred Emperor realm. Its defensive capabilities will enhance in accordance with your strength. Upon seeing the azure garment presented by Chu Fan, Ling Qingshuan's tear-streaked face brightened with joy. The attire was breathtakingly beautiful. As soon as her fingers brushed against the garment, it seamlessly adorned her form, forging a connection that allowed her to alter its color at will. Thank you, Master. Your gifts are truly marvelous. Very well, Chu Fan replied, let bygones be bygones. Once we return to the Daoyi Sect, you must devote yourself to rigorous training. When you grow stronger, there may yet be a chance for you to see Xiaoku again. Is that true? Ling Qingshuan's earlier despondency evaporated upon hearing the prospect of reuniting with Xiaoku, her eyes sparkling with hope. Chu Fan nodded. You must have faith in yourself. Indeed, I will strive to train diligently. Thank you, Master. Now let us depart. With that, Chu Fan guided Ling Qingxian as they soared towards the Daoyi Sect. The rewards of the Xianhuang Tower and the insight into spirit arrays would be utilized upon their return. The Xianhuang Tower was a divine artifact of merit, necessitating thorough study, while the insight into spirit arrays was familiar to him from previous tasks, serving to elevate one's array mastery. This time, the reward was granted specifically for completing the master-disciple task, presumably offering significantly greater benefits than before, perhaps even elevating to an ultimate realm. 3 days later, Chu Fan and Ling Qingxian arrived back at the Daoyi Sect. During their journey, Chu Fan briefly acquainted her with the sect's particulars and noteworthy matters. Master, you have returned. Oh, and you have brought a lovely young lady. The closed-door disciple, Jiang Feng, sensed Chu Fan's presence and eagerly opened the gates of the XuLing Peak. Bouncing towards him, impudent. Go, summon your senior sister. Let her meet your junior sister, Chu Fan playfully admonished while lightly rapping Jiang Feng's head. Jiang Feng stuck out his tongue, exclaiming, Junior sister? Wow, Master has taken on a disciple again. I finally have a little junior sister. Observing Jiang Feng's somewhat erratic demeanor as he departed, Ling Qingxian timidly inquired, Master, does senior brother Jiang have some sort of illness? He seems a bit eccentric. Haha. He is perfectly fine. His background is quite similar to yours. He has also lived alone and possesses a rather spirited personality. You'll grow accustomed to him in due time. Chu Fan chuckled at Ling Qingshuan's words. A moment later, atop XuLing Peak, Qing Shui and Jiang Feng stood respectfully before Chu Fan, with Ling Qingxian by his side. Come, introduce yourself. Ling Qingxian stepped forward, bowing to Qing Shui and Jiang Feng. Junior sister Ling Qingxian greets senior sister Qing Shui and senior brother Jiang Feng. Greetings, junior sister Qingxian. Both Qing Shui and Jiang Feng replied in unison. The three had thus acquainted themselves. Qing Shui, Jiang Feng, your new junior sister possesses a golden talent. Make sure to train diligently, lest she surpass you. Chu Fan warned them with a mischievous smile. What an impressive talent. Qing Shui and Jiang Feng exclaimed in surprise. Indeed, every disciple chosen by Master was extraordinarily gifted. Prompted by Chu Fan's reminder, the two secretly vowed to intensify their training to ensure they would not be outpaced by their junior sister. Subsequently, Chu Fan had Ling Qingxian consume a Bodhi seed to enhance her comprehension, with her innate talent having reached the pinnacle of golden. There was no need for her to consume the phoenix essence egg. After refining the Bodhi seed, she seemed to become even more ethereal, drawing the curious attention of the phoenix essence hen, which waddled over to her, its round eyes fixated on her azure attire. What a beautiful hen! Ling Qingxian marveled upon seeing the male phoenix essence hen, her gaze lingering on it for quite some time. Before long, she was joyfully playing with the hen. Chu Fan smiled, observing that this new disciple had an innate affinity for magical beasts, forming a bond with them effortlessly. Following this, he began to refine his insights into spiritual formations, achieving complete mastery within half an hour, a satisfied smile gracing his face. This time, his understanding of spiritual formations had significantly enhanced his prowess, enabling him to deploy formations with a mere thought, without the need for any formation flags. Next, he turned his attention to the Xianhuang Tower. Upon investigation, he discovered that aside from isolating causality, the tower could also assist in cultivation. Entering the Xianhuang Tower for training could provide a chance to comprehend the great Tao of causality, which transcended mere laws. Such profound matters were not something Chu Fan wished to delve into. He believed that in due time, he would acquire what he needed. Once Qing Shui and the others elevated their strength, they could certainly give it a try. 2 days later, Chu Fan sought out Guan Tianyue to register Ling Qingshuan's information. Chu Fan, my nephew, I must inform you of something. In half a month, the transformation pool of the Daoyi Sect will be opened, and all 3 of your disciples are eligible to enter. The transformation pool? What is that? Chu Fan questioned in surprise. Having lived in the Daoyi Sect for so many years, it was his first time hearing such a term. I neglected to mention that the transformation pool opens once every 30 years. Its purpose is to unlock the potential of disciples without any adverse effects. Many of the esteemed disciples you encountered have greatly enhanced their cultivation levels by entering the transformation pool, explained Guan Tianyue. I see now. No wonder those esteemed disciples possess such formidable strength. It is because they have entered the transformation pool. With Guan Tianyue's elucidation, Chu Fan understood the function of the transformation pool. It is akin to a medicinal elixir for enhancing one's realm, accelerating the advancement of cultivation without any side effects, thus eliminating concerns regarding harm to one's foundation. This time, there are a total of 200 available spots. After accounting for the esteemed disciples, 70 individuals will enter, while the remaining spots will be allocated among the 11 mountain peaks. All 3 of your disciples will be included. Very well, that is agreeable. I have calculated that there are 10 surplus spots this time. I plan to use them as rewards for an internal competition within the sect. Apart from the selected disciples, the top 10 ranked participants will also qualify for entry, Guan Tianyue said with enthusiasm. Master Guan, do you believe that, in accordance with our Daoyi Sect's traditions, the competing disciples will exert their utmost in the matches? Guan Tianyue paused, momentarily taken aback by the astuteness of this observation. Chapter 22, The Hatching of Chicks by Fengxian. Yi Xian's invitation. Ultimately, Guan Tianyue decided against the competition, opting instead to directly allocate the remaining spots. The following day, Qing Shui and Jiang Feng arrived at the peak to greet Chu Fan, only to discover that Ling Qingxian was absent. Let us check on your junior sister. Perhaps she has overslept, suggested Chu Fan. Ling Qingshuan's residence is not far from Qing Shui's, both situated halfway up the XuLing Peak. However, Qing Shui typically practices at the pavilion at the foot of the mountain, while Jiang Feng, as Chu Fan's closed-door disciple, resides near the entrance of XuLing Peak. The entrance has now been replaced with a sturdier and more majestic door, a consequence of Jiang Feng's previous breakthrough when he inadvertently damaged the old door due to a lack of control over his strength. Arriving at Ling Qingshuan's abode, Chu Fan and Jiang Feng waited outside, while Qing Shui knocked on the door. After several attempts, there was still no response from Ling Qingxian. Is she still asleep? Qing Shui pondered, sensing Ling Qingshuan's presence within. Reluctantly, she opened the door to find Ling Qingxian curled up on her bed, breathing steadily, emanating a faint golden glow. Master, it appears that junior sister Qingxian has entered a special state. Upon hearing Qing Shui's call, Chu Fan and Jiang Feng entered the room. She is in a state of comprehension. Her cultivation will likely increase upon awakening, which is a positive development. After confirming Ling Qingshuan's condition, Chu Fan explained. He had previously learned that Ling Qingxian could break through realms even in her dreams, likely related to her reincarnation body. It is highly probable that her joining of the Daoyi Sect has brought her warmth, leading to a shift in her mindset, which has facilitated this profound comprehension. Qing Shui, keep watch over her. Once Qingxian awakens, bring her to see me, he instructed before departing with Jiang Feng. Seeing his junior sister grow stronger in her sleep filled Jiang Feng with envy. Half a day later, Qing Shui led Ling Qingxian to the summit, where the 3 stood in respectful alignment before Chu Fan. Ling Qingshuan's cultivation had ascended to the 9th level of the Martial King realm. breaking through 3 levels in a single night. Such talent was truly formidable. Indeed, with just a bit more effort, you shall reach the martial sovereign realm. Keep striving. Chu Fan commended with a nod. I have summoned you today to convey an important matter. In half a month, the sect will open the transformation pool, and you 3 are to enter for a duration of 10 days. As for the heights you may attain, that shall depend on your fortune. Master, what is the transformation pool? Qing Shui inquired, her curiosity mirrored by Jiang Feng and Ling Qingxian. As the name suggests, the transformation pool is a vast reservoir that purges impurities and facilitates rebirth, enabling you to elevate your cultivation without jeopardizing your foundation, thus saving you several years of arduous training. Ah, I see. The trio nodded in understanding of the pool's purpose. Suddenly, the lively call of the Phoenix Precious Chickens interrupted Chu Fan's discourse, their high-pitched cries capturing the attention of all 4. Observing 2 Phoenix Precious Chickens flapping their wings with exuberance, Ling Qingxian approached the peach divine tree, peering closely. Master, the Phoenix Precious Chickens have hatched chicks, 10 in total. Ling Qingxian exclaimed joyfully. The 10 newly hatched chicks chirped incessantly, their pale yellow bodies adorned with abundant feathers that parted from the center of their heads. Chicks with center-parted hairstyles? Chu Fan smirked, barely containing a laugh. Suddenly struck by inspiration, he rummaged through the system's space and unearthed a round ball hidden in a corner, which he tossed beside the nest. Since there are chicks now, let this ball be their plaything. The 2 Phoenix Precious Chickens seemed to comprehend Chu Fan's words, flapping their wings in gratitude before directing their chicks to circle the ball. Master, with the sudden addition of 10 Phoenix Precious Chickens, does that mean we can cook them in the future? Jiang Feng licked his lips unabashedly. Upon overhearing this, the 2 Phoenix Precious Chickens fluffed their feathers indignantly, their necks turning crimson as they spread their wings and hurried towards Jiang Feng, intent on pecking at him. Jiang Feng, quick on his feet, evaded their attacks, and soon a playful skirmish ensued between him and the 2 chickens. The Phoenix Precious Chickens, nourished by the leaves of the Bodhi Divine Tree and the Peach Divine Tree, possessed considerable strength, each having reached the first level of the Martial King realm. They were aware that Jiang Feng would not dare harm them, thus they pursued him relentlessly, determined to peck at him until they succeeded. Witnessing this amusing scene, Ling Qingxian burst into laughter, while Qing Shui covered her mouth, stifling her giggles. 10 days later, still prior to the opening of the transformation pool, an invitation arrived at XuLing Peak. Jiang Feng examined the invitation in his hand and discovered it was a summons from Yi Xian for the new session of the Intersect Disciples Exchange Conference, inviting disciples from various peaks to congregate at the Holy Master Peak for discussions and friendly sparring. Such activities are generally spontaneous among disciples, and the Daoyi Sect encourages them, as social interaction is just as important as cultivation. Only through mutual engagement can deep friendships be forged, ensuring a plethora of friends will lend their aid in times of peril. Senior sister, Brother Yi Xian has invited the 3 of us to participate in an event tomorrow. Jiang Feng relayed this news to Qing Shui. Then we shall go. We cannot let Brother Yi Xian down. Qing Shui had just solidified her cultivation and glanced at Ling Qingxian, who had yet to meet others. It would be beneficial to go out and make acquaintances. Indeed, I will heed senior sister's advice. Ling Qingxian was quite obedient. Among the trio, Qing Shui was the youngest at merely 17, while Jiang Feng and Ling Qingxian were both 20. However, they adhered to the order of their entry into the sect, and despite her youth, Qing Shui exhibited a maturity beyond her years. By the way, junior brother, junior sister, remember to adjust your cultivation levels. They should not be too high or too low. Qing Shui reminded them. The last time they visited the Falling Cloud sect, they showcased their cultivation at the 4th level of the Martial King realm, primarily to avoid drawing attention from the disciples of Falling Cloud sect, which was unnecessary within Daoyi Sect. An excessively high cultivation level might appear ostentatious, while a low level could undermine their master's reputation, thus requiring a reasonable adjustment. I'll set mine at the 7th level of the Martial King realm, just slightly below Brother Yi Xian, Jiang Feng declared, shifting his aura as his cultivation elevated from the 4th level of the Martial Venerable realm to the 7th level of the Martial King realm. Qing Shui nodded, enhancing her own cultivation to the 8th level of the Martial King realm. Then I shall keep mine lower, at the 5th level of the Martial King realm. Ling Qingxian, who had just learned the concealment technique a few days prior, adeptly adjusted her cultivation. The true cultivation levels of Qing Shui and Jiang Feng were the 3rd level of the Martial Venerable realm, while Ling Qingxian was at the 9th level of the Martial King realm. Chapter 23. The Disciples Exchange Meeting and Jiang Feng's new weapon the following day. Led by Qing Shui, with Jiang Feng and Ling Qingxian in tow, they departed from XuLing Peak towards the Holy Master Peak. The exchange meeting was to be held at the foot of the Holy Master Peak, in a small plaza and reception area established long ago, indicating that the disciples of the Holy Master Peak had hosted such gatherings on multiple occasions. Upon their arrival, Yixian personally came out to greet them. He had also cultivated at XuLing Peak for some time, and, with Chu Fan's assistance, awakened the fiery divine body, significantly enhancing his aptitude. Just a few days prior, he had successfully broken through to the first level of the martial venerable realm, making him a genuine senior brother, aside from the exceptional Qing Shui and Zhang Feng. Junior sister Qing Shui, you have arrived. Oh, is this a new junior sister? Yi Xian greeted Qing Shui and immediately inquired upon noticing Ling Qing Xian beside her. He recalled that Chu Fan had left midway on his return from Falling Cloud Sect, mentioning he had matters to attend to. Could it be that he took on a disciple at that time? Yes, this is our junior sister from XuLing Peak, Ling Qing Xian. Hello, senior brother Yi. Ling Qing Xian politely greeted him. Good, come inside quickly. Fang Qian and the others have just arrived. Yi Xian, with a beaming smile, led the three towards the plaza. As Yi Xian strolled along the path, he glanced at Qing Shui and Zhang Feng, exclaiming, "It has only been a few days since we last met. Yet both of you have made remarkable progress, reaching the 8th and 7th levels of the Martial King realm. Truly, you are worthy disciples of the XuLing Peak." His words carried a hint of playful teasing, though internally, he had long suspected that Qing Shui and Zhang Feng's cultivation had surpassed the first level of the martial sovereign realm. Fortunately, but Yi Xiao, what has happened to you? Last time at the Daoyi Sect, you were at the 7th level of the Martial King realm. Yet now you seem to have regressed to the 6th level. Is it possible for one's cultivation to diminish with practice? Zhang Feng chimed in with a chuckle, a mischievous smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Hee, shitty, you know how it is, Yi Xian replied with a mysterious grin. Before long, they arrived at the small square where Fang Qian from Ziwafeng, Fang Huai from XuLing Peak, as well as Li Youji, Meng Zhe, and others had gathered. These individuals were relatively familiar faces, and after exchanging introductions, laughter and conversation filled the air. On the XuLing Peak side, Zhang Feng was particularly talkative, while Qing Shui contributed occasionally, mostly listening to others. Ling Qing Xian, being new and experiencing such a lively gathering for the first time, felt somewhat reserved and spoke little. However, with Qing Shui's encouragement, she soon engaged in conversation with ease. The attendees were all outstanding disciples of their generation, each possessing talents that could be deemed exceptional, with their cultivation levels appearing to be no lower than the 2nd level of the Martial King realm. Dear Shitty and Shimmy, today we gather together. Let us first indulge in a hearty drink before delving into discussions on martial arts, shall we? Yi Xian raised his cup to host the gathering. Indeed. Come, Yi Xiao. Let us raise our glasses together. Cheers. There was no scheming or strife for interests. Instead, everyone drank merrily, sharing laughs. After the meal, they transitioned into a martial arts exchange. I specialize in alchemy and am now capable of refining 4th-grade elixirs. I can produce any elixirs required for the martial sovereign realm. So feel free to seek me out if needed. Fang Qian was the first to speak. Possessing a pure spirit body, she was a prodigy in alchemy. And under the tutelage of Qi Siyun, she quickly became a rising star of Ziwafeng, now able to effortlessly concoct 4th-grade elixirs of nearly perfect quality. Given a little more time, even flawless elixirs would be within her grasp. I excel in talisman crafting. I can create protective talismans and escape talismans. Though their grade is not very high, only effective for those below the 6th level of the martial sovereign realm. If you require higher level ones, I have plenty from my master, Li Youji said, clasping his fists. I too share a similar skill, but I am more adept at crafting a variety of talismans, particularly truth-telling and immobilization talismans, Meng Zhe added. Each disciple introduced their specialties, facilitating future collaborations or assistance when needed. After exchanging ideas for more than half an hour, someone suddenly broached the topic of the impending entrance into the transformation pool. Yi Xiao, in less than 5 days, we shall enter the transformation pool. I wonder if you have any further insights regarding it? I have heard my master speak of this matter. The specifics indicate that the transformation pool has the capacity to elevate each of our cultivations. The greater one's potential, the more substantial the enhancement. Perhaps by the conclusion of this session in the transformation pool, everyone might ascend to the martial sovereign realm. Such auspicious words from Brother Yi, remarked a disciple from Tangyuan Peak, whose cultivation had reached the 8th level of the Martial King realm, though he only displayed the prowess of a 3rd-level Martial King. His intent in entering the transformation pool was to break through to the martial sovereign realm. Subsequently, they engaged in martial arts discussions. Among the present disciples, only Qing Shui, Zhang Feng, Ling Qing Xian, Yi Xian, Fang Huai, and Fang Qian had consumed Bodhi seeds in advance, which significantly enhanced their innate talents, allowing them deeper insights and comprehension of martial arts than their peers, with Ling Qinxian being an exception as she had just arrived. During the exchange of perspectives, their insights surpassed those of others, illuminating their understanding. After sharing their contact information, the discussion concluded with the setting sun. Brother Yi, see you in 4 days. They all bid farewell as the gathering dispersed. Sister, how do you feel today? On their way back, Qingxue inquired of Ling Qinxian. I am quite elated. All the seniors are so warm and talented. I truly enjoy their company, replied Ling Qinxian. If we are to speak of talent, dear sister, you are undoubtedly the most gifted among us. Who could deny that your innate abilities surpass all others? I genuinely fear that I might awaken one day to find my cultivation outstripped by yours, Jiang Feng jested, chewing on a stray blade of grass. Humph, brother. You are teasing me again. Sister, you must assist me. Ling Qinxian pouted, shooting a glare at Jiang Feng before donning a smile and grasping Qingxue's arm. Do not heed him. I know not where he learned such peculiar banter. You should hasten to elevate your cultivation, and when the time comes, we shall confront him together. Yea, I shall soon grow stronger. On the mountain peak, Chu Fan, having spent the afternoon watching the Phoenix Pearl Chicken play ball, suddenly remembered it was time to sign in. Sign in. Ding. Sign in successful. You have received a reward, de brick. De brick, a tool of dark renown. It is guaranteed to strike true. Simply mark your target, and upon a casual toss, the target shall suffer grievous injury, with all defensive measures rendered ineffective. Note, de brick is classified as a divine artifact and is currently sealed. Thereupon, a rectangular red brick materialized in Chu Fan's hand, inscribed with a prominent character for Da. Is this truly the de brick? How absurd. Chu Fan mused. Even if it is a divine artifact, it is exceedingly unscrupulous. Just imagine, as the peak master of Daoyi Sect, walking around with a red brick in hand. Onlookers might think I am a builder. Absolutely not, Chu Fan asserted resolutely. However, it could be of use to Jiang Feng. Chapter 24. Granting the ancestor a life of leisure. Master, we are setting off. On the morning of the 4th day, Qingxue and the others greeted Chu Fan as they prepared to gather at the sect's square before entering the transformation pool with the larger group. Master, once we enter the transformation pool, we shall surely break through our cultivation. What shall our reward be? Jiang Feng inquired with a twinkle in his eye. Upon returning in 2 days, I shall present you with the inferior spiritual artifact, the Meridian Sword, dear Qingxue. As for yours, I have it prepared as well, keeping it a secret to surprise you. Its rank surpasses that of your senior sisters. Chu Fan tantalized Jiang Feng. Overjoyed, Jiang Feng displayed an expression of eager anticipation. Is that true? Master, you are too wonderful. Master, do I have one as well? Ling Qinxian chimed in. Chu Fan paused momentarily, searching his inventory to find nothing suitable for Ling Qinxian. He then explained, your artifact is still under refinement, requiring a bit more time. Once it is completed, I shall deliver it to you without delay. How does that sound? Wow, Master can also refine artifacts? That's truly impressive, Jiang Feng exclaimed. He had thought Chu Fan's extraordinary talent was solely due to his cultivation, already a Saint King at such a young age. Little did he know, Chu Fan was also skilled in artifact refinement. Given Chu Fan's disposition, the artifact he would forge for Qingxian would at least match the level of the Meridian Sword. In essence, could it be that Chu Fan is a celestial-grade artifact refiner? Such a thought was daunting. Jiang Feng gasped in awe. A celestial-grade artifact refiner held a status akin to that of a Saint Emperor. Master, you are simply magnificent. Jiang Feng cast a gaze of admiration towards Chu Fan, a sentiment echoed by Qingxue and Ling Qinxian. Noticing the misunderstanding among them, Chu Fan chuckled softly, opting not to clarify. Let them think as they wish, after all. Revealing the truth about the system was out of the question. Such fantastical notions would hardly be believed. If they perceived him as a celestial-grade artifact refiner, so be it. Others were none the wiser, and he had no fear. You may hold this knowledge, but be cautious not to disclose it, lest it invite trouble. I wish to live a few more years, Chu Fan cautioned them. Fear not, Master. I shall strive diligently in my cultivation. Once my prowess increases, I will protect you. Anyone who dares to invoke your ire shall face reincarnation, Ling Qinxian asserted resolutely. Very well, very well. It is getting late. Hurry and gather your things. Upon entering the transformation pool, Chu Fan did not accompany them, as he felt secure practicing within the Daoyi Sect without concern for unforeseen incidents. After their departure, Chu Fan pulled a chair closer, reclining beneath the Bodhi Divine Tree, watching the little Fengxian chicks frolicking nearby. After several days of training, the chicks had learned to play ball. The Fengxian chickens, devotedly caring for their young, had ceased laying eggs, leaving Chu Fan craving for a taste. In the forbidden area of the back mountain of the Daoyi Sect, since the ancestors consumed the peaches of immortality, there was no longer a need for them to remain in a dormant state underground, and Elder Yang no longer required to act as a gatekeeper. A total of 1,643 ancestors, each night, engaged in recreational activities. Elders with a penchant for music took out flutes, gushings, and other instruments, while some of the female ancestors danced gracefully to the melodies. The once quiet forbidden area transformed into a vibrant ballroom. Were it not for the numerous prohibitions that concealed their presence, one might have thought the Daoyi Sect's forbidden ground was haunted. One day, feeling bored while reclining, Chu Fan decided to explore the back mountain's forbidden area. Armed with the token granted by the ancestors, he passed through effortlessly to the forbidden ground. His curiosity piqued. He wished to discover what those who had gained a millennium of life were truly up to. As the final portal swung open, the melodious strains of music first graced Chu Fan's ears, followed by the astonishing sight of over 100 individuals collectively reveling in dance, rendering him utterly speechless. Could it be that the ancestors of the Daoyi Sect indulged nightly in such raucous celebrations, immersed in a life of vibrant lights and intoxicating libations? Were it not for the eye of insight he had activated, he might have dismissed this as mere illusion. This assembly of ancestors, each possessing strength exceeding the 9th realm of the Saint Lord, bore none of the ethereal elegance one might expect. Rather, they resembled the common folk of the marketplace, swaying with bottles in hand to the rhythm of the music. Ahem. Chu Fan cleared his throat, shattering the lively atmosphere, which immediately fell into silence. Thousands of ancestors, still yearning for merriment, turned their gazes towards him. Ah, it is Chu Fan. What brings him here? Yang Zhu inquired, recognizing him at once, having previously seen Chu Fan's visage alongside the other elders. Such exuberance among the ancestors, Chu Fan remarked with a wry smile. The ancestors, unabashed and thick-skinned, felt no shame at being caught in such an embarrassing revelry. Instead, they sought to invite Chu Fan to join their festivities. Ah, Chu Fan, your arrival is fortuitous. Come listen to the ancestor play a piece entitled Soaring to the Heavens. Another elder chimed in enthusiastically. No, dear ancestors, I merely came to observe. However, seeing you all so joyous, I shall present you with a few gifts, Chu Fan declared, retrieving 3 enormous boxes from his spatial system. As he poured forth hundreds of square tiles, each etched with unique designs, curiosity sparked among the gathering. What extraordinary artifacts are these, Chu Fan? Yang Zhu leaned closer, intrigued. These are called mahjong, Chu Fan explained, gesturing at the tiles on the table, then indicating the other boxes. This one is xiangqi, and that is weiqi, also known as go. These items, remnants of his past sign-ins, had long been deemed useless and left to languish. He had previously lamented to the system about why a fantastical realm would reward such mundane objects, questioning who would ever find leisure in playing mahjong or chess. Yet, unexpectedly, the day had come when they would prove invaluable. Having lived for millennia, these ancestors, now awakened from their slumber, naturally sought ways to pass the time. Under the guidance of the eager elders, Chu Fan commenced instructing them on the intricacies of mahjong and chess, meticulously detailing each rule. The gathered ancestors, all formidable in their own right, grasped the concepts with remarkable ease, learning swiftly and even extrapolating beyond the basics. In less than half an hour, 4 elders had gathered around a table, eagerly engaging in a game of mahjong, among them Yang Zhu, who had claimed a spot through years of diligent observation. The other ancestors could only watch enviously as they played. With over 1,600 individuals present, a single set of mahjong, xiangqi, and weiqi was hardly sufficient. Chu Fan, do you have more of these delightful items? An eager elder whispered conspiratorially in Chu Fan's ear. The eyes of the other ancestors sparkled with anticipation. These new pastimes were simply too captivating. Who would not wish to partake? Chu Fan shook his head, stating that was all there was. But materials could be procured to create the designs. Indeed, how could I have overlooked that? An elder exclaimed, promptly producing a token to summon assistance. Before long, Guan Tianyue rushed in, breathless. Elder, you called for me? He inquired eagerly, noticing Chu Fan present at the scene. Ah, young Guan. The elder has a task for you to undertake, came the response. Chapter 25. Daoyi Sect's major undertaking. The hurried Guan Tianyue swiftly departed, clutching 3 blueprints that, upon closer inspection, depicted the intricate designs for mahjong, Chinese chess, and go. It was clear that the elders had tasked him with the creation of these peculiar items. Given the sudden emergence of such enigmatic and profound objects, coupled with Chu Fan's presence, the astute Guan Tianyue deduced that these were indeed concocted by Chu Fan for the elders. Thus, he promptly convened 6 elders from the outer sect, delegating the task as an urgent assignment. The 6 outer sect elders, without delving into excessive inquiries, immediately set to work, summoning several capable disciples to labor tirelessly. Later, due to a shortage of hands, they called upon over 100 outer sect disciples to assist. After all, Guan Tianyue had assured them that these were not of significant importance and there was no need for concern about any potential leaks. In this manner, the Daoyi Sect was divided into 3 batches of activity. The first batch comprised the elders gathered around, observing 4 of their number engaged in a game of mahjong, occasionally seeking Chu Fan's advice on the rules. The second batch took place in a secluded area of the back mountain, where a multitude of disciples underwent transformation at the Chu Fan pool, while several elders stood watch nearby. The third batch involved the outer sect disciples busily crafting mahjong and Chinese chess pieces, creating a scene of industriousness. Li Lian was an undercover agent from the Qingshan sect, tasked with constant surveillance of significant events occurring within the Daoyi sect. Having been denied entry into the inner sect at the age of 16, he had spent 30 years as a mole in the outer sect, gaining a modicum of reputation among the outer disciples. Throughout these 3 decades, he had diligently monitored the Daoyi sect, striving to relay information back to the Qingshan sect in secrecy. However, he had only succeeded in transmitting news 5 times, primarily because the Daoyi sect had not witnessed any substantial events. To avert suspicion from the Qingshan sect, he had to endure considerable hardship to uncover a few noteworthy developments. The Qingshan sect had instructed him to continue his surveillance. Just as he thought he would continue to languish in obscurity, Li Lian suddenly received a directive from the elders to lead a group of agile disciples to accomplish a significant task. Observing the elders' palpable impatience filled him with elation. An opportunity had arisen. Clearly, the Daoyi sect was undertaking something monumental, necessitating such mobilization, even resorting to enlisting outer disciples due to a shortage of inner sect members. This was indeed a fortuitous chance. Subsequently, Li Lian gathered 17 of his fellow disciples to report to the elders. Upon encountering the arcane blueprints distributed by the elders, he made every effort to mask his astonishment. This was undoubtedly a grand secret. The other disciples displayed similar sentiments, with some harboring ulterior motives akin to Li Lian's. Li Lian meticulously studied the blueprints, committing every detail to memory. His remarkable ability to recall information at a glance was precisely why he was dispatched by the Qingshan sect as an undercover agent. After absorbing all the information, Li Lian exhaled a sigh of relief. It was utterly terrifying. He found himself completely bewildered by everything. This must merely be the most rudimentary section, with more profound complexities residing within the inner sanctum. Li Lian felt he had unraveled a significant truth. This revelation must be conveyed back. It was astonishingly groundbreaking. If the simplest elements could leave him breathless, how would he fare upon encountering the more intricate content? Striving to maintain composure and avoid arousing suspicion, Li Lian began to carve out the items alongside his fellow disciples, guided by the blueprints. After a long night's toil, as dawn broke, over 500 outer disciples finally set down their tools, having completed their task. After the 6 outer elders collected the mahjong and other items, the grand elder of the outer sect addressed them, saying, "You have all worked diligently. Each of you may proceed to the task hall to claim 100,000 high-grade spirit stones and a 5th-grade elixir." Such rewards were sufficient to sustain Li Lian and his peers for 2 years, further solidifying Li Lian's suspicions. Once the elders departed, Li Lian hurried back to his quarters, preparing to relay the information to the Qingshan sect when a sudden thought struck him, prompting him to dash toward the task hall. He needed to mask his intentions. According to the nature of outer disciples, they would undoubtedly rush to claim their rewards. Failing to do so would raise eyebrows. Thus, he suppressed his urge and proceeded to the task hall to receive his bounty. As Guan Tianyue received the spatial ring from the outer elder, Daoyi Sect sent out 7 messages, each directed to the locations of the other 7 great holy sects, all containing the same content. Daoyi Sect is investigating a significant secret, accompanied by esoteric and intricate designs. When Guan Tianyue made his way back to the forbidden area of the back mountain, he could hear the voices of the ancestors from a distance. 9 tubes. Bang. 30,000. Eat your cannon. Hee hee, I'm going to take your horse. 5 stars in a row. I win, haha. Confused, Guan Tianyue hastened inside. Ancestors, I have arrived. The moment he stepped through the portal, thousands of eyes fixed upon him, as if they were ready to devour him. Ancestors, I, Guan Tianyue, am at a loss for words. Where's the item? Yang Zhu inquired impatiently, having been replaced after only 2 rounds of mahjong, his frustration mounting to the point of nearly pulling out his beard. Here it is, Yang Zhu. Ha ha ha, wonderful, finally no more waiting to play? Come, come. I'll be the dealer, 1 short of 3, let us sign up to play. Yang Zhu emptied the spatial ring, spilling out mahjong, chess pieces, and other items, promptly snatching up a set of mahjong and setting up a table, inviting others to take their seats. Subsequently, Guan Tianyue beheld the most brutal scene of his life. Those elders of the first rank of the sacred master realm were huddled together like starving beggars, incessantly tearing at one another. Their sole objective being to seize a set of mahjong or chess pieces. It was truly horrifying. Guan Tianyue patted his chest. What are you still doing here? Hurry and leave, do not hinder us. Yang Zhu cast a glance at Guan Tianyue and promptly ushered him away, extending his hand to indicate the 5 bamboo tiles. Reluctantly, Guan Tianyue departed. Half a day later, the 7 major sacred sects of the Eastern continent received intelligence from an undercover agent infiltrated within the Daoyi Sect. Each sect immediately summoned an emergency meeting. The Qingshan sect ranked 5th among the 8 sacred sects of the Eastern continent, possessing an overall strength comparable to that of the Daoyi Sect, but only slightly superior. Their greatest concern was the emergence of a formidable contender from the Daoyi Sect that could usurp their position. Thus, they had invested considerable effort in monitoring the Daoyi Sect. Concurrently, they would scout for promising disciples a year prior to the Daoyi Sect's recruitment. Although this could not entirely prevent exceptionally talented individuals from joining Daoyi, it significantly impeded Daoyi's development. At this moment, the sect leader of Qingshan, Lian Qi, sat with a furrowed brow, surrounded by 18 inner elders. Esteemed elders, according to the reports from our scouts, the Daoyi Sect is making significant moves. Please take a look. As he spoke, Lian Qi handed over the schematics to the Grand Elder for collective scrutiny. Chapter 26. The commotion initiated by Mahjong. The 7 sacred sects are coming to the Daoyi sect leader. What exactly do these designs signify? I can only recognize the cardinal directions and the character wand. Could it be that these patterns conceal a treasure? Do the cardinal directions denote orientation? Have you noticed that each design contains 4 identical segments? This is crucial. Indeed, it merits attention. After examining the designs, the 18 elders expressed their individual opinions, most of which revolved around discussions of Mahjong. Esteemed elders, let us not overlook that the black and red pieces, as well as the black and white chess pieces, must also possess distinct meanings. I speculate that the black and white chess pieces symbolize yin and yang, remarked an elder with a black beard. He was Hua Yunxiang, the most knowledgeable among the 18 elders, whose extensive insights had led to many decisions that kept the Daoyi Sect under Qingshan's heel. This elder could be regarded as the strategist of Qingshan, often referred to as the Great Sage of Qingshan, upon hearing Hua Yunxiang's opinion. The other elders shifted their focus to the chess and black and white pieces. It seems quite plausible. The black and white pieces indeed represent yin and yang, akin to the concept of taiji. If that is the case, could the cardinal directions signify the 8 trigrams? Seeing that no one could discern anything conclusive, and that their remarks were merely conjectures, Lian Qi sighed. Let the undercover agent devise further means to investigate the situation at the Daoyi Sect. It is likely they possess even more schematics within their inner sanctum. Additionally, have replicas of the items depicted in the schematics crafted, but remember, do not let too many individuals know. The selected disciples must also take a solemn oath to maintain the secrecy of this information. Yes, sect leader. In addition to the Qingshan sect, the Xiantian sect, the Qingshu sect, and the Wuzhizong, among the 7 major sacred sects, have also begun to immerse themselves in the study of these intricate designs. Particularly, the Xiantian sect, renowned as the foremost sacred sect in the Eastern continent, has had its leader, Li Bin, conduct extensive inquiries into the Daoyi sect for quite some time. In the Eastern continent, the Daoyi sect stands alone as the only sect that has inherited its legacy since the ancient era, boasting a history of an impressive 270,000 years. While sects like the Xiantian sect, which were established later, have histories of less than 100,000 years. The Daoyi sect is indeed formidable. Even I am unable to discern the intricacies within these patterns. You must promptly arrange for a few capable disciples to visit the Daoyi sect under the guise of an exchange. Leader, is it truly necessary to mobilize such resources? The Daoyi sect does not seem particularly formidable. If it were not for the fact that their only supreme ancestor at the 9th level of the Sacred Master Realm is still alive, one could question whether they truly qualify as a sacred sect, remarked an elder with confusion. Elder Wang, do not underestimate the Daoyi sect. From what I gather, they are exceptionally adept at concealing their strengths. I dare say, within their forbidden grounds, there likely exist 1 or 2 ancestors of the Sacred Emperor realm or higher. Hiss. If that is the case, the Daoyi sect is indeed profoundly hidden. With such power, they could easily contend for the 3rd or 4th position among the sects. While the Wuzhizong possesses only 2 ancestors at the Sacred Emperor realm, another elder lamented. Enough, let it be decided. Announce it, in half a month. The Xiantian sect will hold an exchange conference at the Daoyi sect, Li Bin commanded. He wished to seize this opportunity to delve into the depths of the Daoyi sect, ideally uncovering the secrets behind their esoteric designs. As the Xiantian sect's announcement was disseminated, other sects, including the Qingshu sect, Wuzhizong, Haitian sect, Qingshan sect, Luoxia sect, and Fengxing Sect swiftly followed suit, intending to send their disciples to participate in the exchange. At that moment, Chu Fan remained unaware that a seemingly innocuous design for mahjong and chess had stirred a significant tempest in the Eastern continent, culminating in a grand assembly of the 7 major sacred sects at the Daoyi Sect for the purpose of youthful disciples contests. A day later, upon receiving the news, the Daoyi Sect convened an elder council meeting once more, summoning the peak leaders and elders who had been overseeing the transformation pool. Guan Tianyue held 7 invitation letters, each sent by one of the 7 major sacred sections. What has prompted the 7 major sacred sects to simultaneously seek an audience with our Daoyi Sect? Questioned the irascible peak leader of Lihuang Peak, Jing Yin, in perplexity. Guan Tianyue, maintaining a stoic expression, fell silent for a moment before addressing Chu Fan. According to the intelligence gathered by my spies, the 7 major sacred sects have likely learned of our significant undertakings. While they present this as an exchange, they are secretly harboring ulterior motives against us. Chu Fan and Guan Tianyue exchanged glances, their lips twitching. Surely, they haven't discovered that the leader has been crafting mahjong overnight, have they? Very likely, Guan Tianyue asserted with conviction. Mahjong? What is that? The peak leaders present were unaware of the mahjong matter. Leader, esteemed nephew Chu Fan, are you both engaging in riddles? Inquired the Grand Elder, Yin Lu, perplexed. Only the 6 outer elders recognized the mention of Chu Fan, prompting the Grand Elder of the Outer Sect to retrieve the design from his spatial ring. Esteemed colleagues, this is precisely what the leader is referring to. After a brief moment, Yin Lu and the others suddenly realized the truth. Could it be that this was merely a toy for amusement, devoid of any profound meaning? Haha, those holy sects are utterly ridiculous. They have me in stitches. Elder Ji laughed heartily, clutching his stomach, tears almost streaming down his face. Yin Lu and the others also felt their facial muscles quiver, ultimately unable to contain their laughter. Ha. Goodness, these fools from the holy sects are hilarious. A full quarter of an hour passed before everyone regained their composure, with only the tear stains on their faces bearing witness to their previous mirth. Guan Tianyue composed himself and continued. Although the 7 holy sects have misunderstood, they are determined to engage in exchanges, which will complicate the arrangement of disciples. Indeed, Elder Yin Lu remarked solemnly, the Luoxia sect recently invited us for an exchange, and now they are coming again. We must handle this with utmost caution and leave no traces. What if we arrange 1 or 2 disciples from the secret realm? Suggested Qi Xiying. Chu Fan, what are your thoughts? Guan Tianyue inquired, eager to hear Chu Fan's perspective. After a moment of contemplation, Chu Fan replied, Sect Master, the transformational pool will conclude in 5 days. It is possible that some disciples will break through to the martial sovereign realm. We can arrange based on their circumstances. This proposal is not entirely satisfactory. Even if some disciples attain the martial sovereign realm, we cannot reveal our full strength. I would prefer for them to maintain their cultivation at around the 9th level of the martial king realm. As for those in the martial sovereign realm, we can select 3 from the secret realm. Upon hearing Guan Tianyue's analysis, Chu Fan found it reasonable. This approach would ensure that each disciple of the Daoyi sect would not expose their complete capabilities, thereby preventing any suspicions from the other holy sections. After all, given the overall strength of the Daoyi sect, most of the new disciples were at the 7th or 8th levels of the martial king realm, with a few exceptional ones reaching the 9th level, while several from the previous cohort might emerge at the 3rd or 4th levels of the martial sovereign realm. Very sensible. No wonder you are the sect master. Your decision-making is impeccable, Chu Fan mused, attributing a newfound wisdom to his thrifty and calculating master. Chapter 27. The Spirit Ruins Secret Realm. 5 days later, the 10-day transformational pool session concluded, and Qing Shui, Jiang Feng, and Ling Qingxian returned to XuLing Peak. Indeed, you all exhibit the grandeur of my own past. Chu Fan nodded approvingly as he observed the 3, whose cultivation had significantly advanced. With the eye of insight, Chu Fan clearly discerned that both Qing Shui and Jiang Feng had reached the 7th level of the martial sovereign realm, while the remarkable Ling Qingxian had caught up, attaining the 6th level. Truly deserving of your golden talent. Your training speed is impressive, he noted. Keep it up, both of you. Qingxian is already at the 6th level of the martial sovereign realm and is poised to surpass you, Chu Fan encouraged. The 3 stared at Chu Fan in astonishment, exclaiming in unison, Master, can you perceive our true cultivation levels? They immediately began to check themselves, wondering if their concealment techniques had faltered. After all, Qing Shui and Jiang Feng had displayed levels of the 9th rank in the martial king realm, while Ling Qingxian was merely at the 8th rank. Do not be alarmed. Aside from me, no one else can discern your true realms, Chu Fan chuckled, witnessing their slight panic. Qing Shui, your resolve is still insufficient. Is it necessary to be so flustered over such trivial matters? You must devote more effort to fortifying your Tao heart, Chu Fan admonished as he gazed at Qingxue earnestly. As an immortal body cultivating the longevity technique, the stability of her Tao heart was of utmost importance. To tread the path of immortality, one must possess an indomitable Tao heart to advance further. Yes, Master, Qingxue replied respectfully with a nod. Wow, truly remarkable. Sister Qingxian, you are incredible, Jiang Feng exclaimed, giving a thumbs up to Ling Qingxian. Ling Qingxian lowered her head slightly, a hint of shyness in her voice as she replied, I'm not that impressive. Subsequently, Chu Fan recounted recent events and informed the trio that in 10 days, the 7 great sacred sects would convene at Daoyi Sect. Similar to the previous gathering at Wanxia Sect, necessitating the dispatch of disciples to engage in friendly competition with the young representatives of the 7 great sacred sects. Master, with so many from the 7 great sacred sects, can we manage? Will we expose our strength? Qingxue voiced her concerns. We have already deliberated upon this. I intend to send Jiang Feng to the arena while the others will be arranged by the sect master, Chu Fan clarified. All right, Master, I will certainly defeat them, Jiang Feng declared, clenching his fists upon learning he would be participating in the competition. Before that, let us refine these spirit tools. This was my promise to you, Chu Fan said, holding the Zawujian in his left hand and the Daizhuan in his right, distributing them to Qingxue and Jiang Feng respectively. Thank you, Master. Qingxue accepted the Zawujian with delight, gently caressing it before stepping aside to commence its refinement. Master, is this my spirit tool, a brick? Jiang Feng's face twitched, expressing a hint of disdain. What, do you not desire it? This is a divine artifact. And no, I didn't mean that. You are the best, Master. Upon hearing it was a divine artifact, Jiang Feng eagerly grasped the Daizhuan, grinning widely. Although it is indeed a divine artifact, it remains sealed and requires your continuous refinement to gradually unlock its potential. For now, it is equivalent to a mid-grade heavenly spirit tool, which suits you well. Chu Fan explained. Master, did you forge this divine artifact? Jiang Feng asked with eager anticipation, seeking clarification on a particular matter. Certainly not. It was a fortuitous acquisition of mine. Chu Fan discerned the underlying curiosity in his disciple. Very well, proceed with the refinement, he instructed, then led Ling Qingxian aside. Qingxian, to what extent have you cultivated the reincarnation technique? Returning to Master, I have just comprehended some aspects. I have yet to achieve minor success, Ling Qingxian responded. The reincarnation technique is a core method. You must approach it with utmost seriousness. Your senior sister has gleaned a fragment of the laws of time from the longevity technique. You too must strive to comprehend the laws of reincarnation. Do you understand? Chu Fan patiently guided Ling Qingxian. Whether it be Qingxue's longevity technique, Jiang Feng's power technique, or Ling Qingshuan's reincarnation technique, these 3 methods were rewards from the system, perfectly aligned with their paths. Qingxue primarily focused on comprehending the laws of time. Jiang Feng pursued the path of strength, while Ling Qingxian explored the laws of reincarnation. As long as they remained steadfast on their respective paths, they held the potential to ascend to the rank of emperor or even higher realms in the future. Chu Fan nurtured the hope that each of his disciples would become formidable warriors. He had already imparted teachings to Qingxue and Jiang Feng, and now was the perfect time for Ling Qingxian, who had just embarked on her journey. I shall strive earnestly and will not disappoint my esteemed master, declared Ling Qingxian with resolute determination, her expression grave. Very well, you shall cultivate beneath the Bodhi tree from now on. Qingxue and Jiang Feng had already spent 6 months honing their skills under the Bodhi tree, achieving remarkable advancements. Given Ling Qingshuan's exceptional talent, it was anticipated that she too would reap substantial rewards from her training there. While Qingxue and Jiang Feng were engrossed in refining their spiritual artifacts, appearing to require at least half a day's time, Chu Fan refrained from disturbing them, swiftly departing from XuLing Peak toward the grand hall of the sect leader. Just moments ago, Guan Tianyue had sent him a message convening a meeting, indicating that there had been a change in plans that necessitated a reevaluation. Within the hall, Guan Tianyue and the elders were seated in their respective places, with Chu Fan being the last to arrive. Now that everyone is present, let us discuss how we shall proceed in 10 days, Guan Tianyue began. According to the latest intelligence, the representatives of the 7 great sacred sects believe we have uncovered an ancient relic, and they suspect that the Mahjong blueprints are the key to accessing it. Hence their desire to probe our intentions. I have conferred with the ancestor over the past few days. He intends to open the Lingshu secret realm and disseminate this information, allowing all sects to send disciples to explore. Guan Tianyue laid out the plan in its entirety. The sect leader intends to turn their own strategy against them. But what exactly is this Lingshu secret realm? I have never heard of it before, inquired the Grand Elder, Yen Lu, with a furrowed brow. The other elders present also expressed their unfamiliarity with this secret realm. To be candid, I learned of the Lingshu secret realm from the ancestor. He initially planned to use it as a training ground for the direct disciples of Daoyi Sect at an opportune moment. However, given the current circumstances, it seems fitting to allow others to partake as well, Guan Tianyue explained. Sect leader, how could the ancestor possibly share such a newly discovered secret realm? Questioned the second elder, Qi Xing, with astute insight, recognizing a potential oversight. Haha, I grasp your meaning. The emergence of the secret realm will undoubtedly attract attention, and monopolizing it is virtually impossible. The ancestor has already investigated. The greatest inheritance within the realm corresponds to the 6th tier of the Holy Sovereign Realm. Ah, I see. The inheritance of the 6th tier of the Holy Sovereign Realm is neither excessively grand nor insignificant, while it may hold little value to us. It is quite suitable for the younger generation, mused the 6th elder, Jiang Wei, stroking his beard with an air of sagacity. Thus, the purpose of gathering everyone here is to plan for the day after tomorrow when we shall fully unveil the Lingshu secret realm, allowing the disciples to engage in their endeavors within it. As for which disciples you choose to send, that is entirely at your discretion. Understood. We will follow the sect leader's arrangements. The gathered elders responded in unison. Chapter 28. The emergence of the secret realm and the triggering of the recruitment mission on this day, high above a desolate mountain situated 100,000 miles away. Guan Tianyue, Chu Fan, Yin Lu, and an elder from Daoyi Sect named Qi Fu hovered in the air. Elder Qi, the next move rests in your capable hands. Guan Tianyue respectfully addressed Qi Fu. A trivial matter, Qi Fu replied nonchalantly, swiftly forming a series of intricate hand seals that conjured a cerulean bird. Go. With a flick of his wrist, the cerulean bird soared through the air, tracing an elegant arc before piercing into the depths of the desolate mountain below. After a brief 10 breaths, the earth began to tremble, accompanied by a resounding roar. The surrounding beasts instinctively sensed the impending danger and hastily fled with their young, scattering in a frantic escape. As the sound grew increasingly louder, the earth below underwent a transformation. Trees were uprooted, and the yellow soil caved in, revealing a profound chasm, with dust swirling above. Suddenly, a light flickered within the chasm, accompanied by a colossal rise imbued with an ancient aura. Ding. Mission activated. Please enter the Lingshu secret realm to recruit the 4th disciple. Requirement: Golden Talent. Completing the task will yield substantial rewards. When the entrance to the Lingshu secret realm appeared, the voice of the system resonated in Chu Fan's mind. To recruit disciples within the secret realm? Chu Fan was taken aback. Could it be that the disciples to be recruited were inside the realm? It seemed necessary to embark on this journey. However, before entering, he naturally needed to make some preparations. He would not enter amidst so many people. That would be far too ostentatious. He needed to adopt a different appearance and enter as a wandering cultivator. Once the Lingshu secret realm stabilized, Guan Tianyue and the others hastily produced the formation plate, toiling at the entrance for a while until an invisible barrier emerged. That's it, let us go. Spread the news. The major sects are likely en route. A quarter of an hour later, news spread quickly, reaching the majority of forces in the eastern continent. The Daoyi Sect had discovered an ancient relic, located in a desolate mountain range. Fearing the implications of monopolizing it, the Daoyi Sect extended an invitation to all forces in the eastern continent to explore together. It was determined that only cultivators under 30 years of age could enter the relic. Upon hearing this news, agile sects swiftly gathered their elite disciples, some wielding swords, others aboard flying boats, and some riding birds, each showcasing their unique prowess as they flocked toward the Lingshu secret realm. Quick, summon the disciples. An ancient relic has emerged. The opportunity for fortune has arrived. An ancient relic? I, Wang Xinting, shall undoubtedly attain the ancient legacy, for I possess the potential of an emperor. Ancestors, bless me to change my fate within the ancient relic. Otherwise, our Lu family shall face extinction. When the 7 major sects received this news, the immediate reaction of each sect leader was that the Daoyi Sect had conceded. Upon learning that all 7 major sects were converging upon Daoyi, they realized they could no longer conceal this secret and were compelled to announce it publicly. Daoyi Sect is quite astute, recognizing the need for damage control. Lian Qi remarked with a knowing smile. This clever maneuver shows their fear of us 7 major sects dividing the relic, prompting them to release the information and invite other sects to join. Should we attempt to monopolize it, we would face public condemnation. Indeed, but what of it? The disciples of other sects cannot possibly compare to ours, scoffed Fan Minshan, the leader of the Haitianzong. In his eyes, the disciples of the 7 major sects far surpassed those of other sects, with 5 or 6 among them being at the 3rd level of the martial venerable realm or above. Other sects would likely struggle to present even a 9th level martial king. It appears that this Lingshu secret realm will serve as a stage for the disciples of the 7 major sects to showcase themselves. Lian Qi chuckled. He did not consider the Dao Yizong among the rankings. According to the information gathered, the most formidable disciple under 30 within Dao Yizong merely reaches the 9th level of martial king. There is not a single martial sovereign. Were it not for the presence of that half-dead ancient relic, Dao Yizong would likely rank 8th. Brother Lian's words ring true. It all boils down to which of our 2 great sacred sects has disciples that exhibit greater prowess, remarked Fan Minshan playfully. The relationship between Heishanzong and King Shanzong is relatively amicable, with Fan Minshan and Lian Qi being longtime friends, and the 2 sects had arranged to visit Dao Yizong together. However, upon hearing news of the ancient ruins en route, they swiftly altered their course towards the ruins. Simultaneously, they issued orders for disciples under 30 from their sects to hasten their arrival. The same was true for Xuantianzong, Kingsizong, and other sacred sects, as they abandoned their plans to visit Dao Yizong and rushed towards the ruins while promptly summoning their disciples. Li Bin, the leader of Xuantianzong, pondered as he flew, feeling that something about Dao Yizong's actions seemed amiss, though he could not articulate why. Nevertheless, he decided to remain vigilant, trusting that Dao Yizong would not resort to any underhanded tactics. When Chu Fan returned to XuLing Peak, Qing Shui and the others were still cultivating. Ling Qingxian had not yet entered a meditative state and was called over by Chu Fan. After a while, Qing Shui and Jiang Feng arrived. I have good news for you. The sect has discovered an ancient ruin, and I intend for you to enter the secret realm for training. Master, aren't the 7 great sacred sects coming to our sect? I was hoping to show off a bit. Jiang Feng scratched his head. Junior brother, are you foolish? With the emergence of the ancient ruins, the other sacred sects will undoubtedly come as well. Once inside the secret realm, how could we possibly lack opponents? Qing Shui was right. Once in the ruins, you could engage as you pleased, provided you safeguarded yourselves and acted with prudence, especially you, Jiang Feng, Chu Fan advised patiently. He then retrieved numerous talismans and several bottles of elixirs from his spatial ring. The talismans were for self-defense, wielding the power of the 9th level of Saint King. As for the elixirs, they primarily consisted of healing and transformation potions. Jiang Feng, you shall represent XuLing Peak in the ruins while I, along with your senior sister and junior sister, will enter as loose cultivators. After distributing the talismans and elixirs among the 3, Chu Fan commenced his arrangements. Master will also enter? Jiang Feng exclaimed in surprise. Why not? I am merely 27. I have yet to reach 30, thus I am naturally eligible. With Master S strength at the 2nd level of Saint King, wouldn't he dominate everyone? Chu Fan shook his head, then consumed a transformation elixir, altering his appearance from a strikingly handsome youth to an inconspicuous visage, the kind that would be lost in a crowd. Subsequently, his cultivation level plummeted to the 9th level of martial king. Qing Shui and Ling Qingxian followed suit, transforming into ordinary sect disciples with unremarkable features. Ling Qingxian even changed her azure attire into a simple gauzy skirt. Once everything was prepared, Chu Fan instructed Jiang Feng to report to Guantianyue on his own, while he led Qing Shui and Ling Qingxian towards the Lingshu secret realm. Chapter 29. The Anomaly of the Secret Realm, a tri-layered space in less than half a day. The area surrounding the Lingshu secret realm had already attracted no fewer than tens of thousands of individuals. Among the 8 sacred sects, only the Wuji sect and the Qingshu sect, due to their considerable distance, had yet to arrive, while all the others were present. The 6 major sects occupied the forefront, followed by various sects of lesser strength. As time elapsed, an increasing number of forces made their way to the scene. After another half-day, both the Wuji sect and Qingshu sect had finally arrived. As the sect that discovered the relics, the Daoyi Sect served as the host. After adjusting his attire, Guan Tianyue stepped forward, hovering in the air, and proclaimed loudly, "The Lingshu secret realm shall soon open. All disciples from eligible forces may enter in an orderly manner. The duration of the secret realm is 1 month. After 1 month, it is imperative that everyone exits. Within the realm, life and death are determined solely by strength. Now, let us commence." No sooner had his words echoed than the representative of the Xiantian sect emerged first. Leading the group was a tall, striking young man with a pair of sword-like brows and captivating eyes, wielding a silver great sword as he strode towards the entrance of the secret realm. Following closely behind were 8 disciples, 6 males and 2 females, all adorned in the Xiantian sect's attire, each exuding a formidable presence of at least the 1st level of martial sovereign. It was Shangku from the Xiantian sect. His arrival was unexpected. Indeed, the eldest disciple of the Xiantian sect, possessing a 4th level of martial sovereign cultivation, was undoubtedly among the strongest. Those familiar with Shangku began to converse animatedly. Look, there's Wu Liang from the Qingshu sect, Gan Peng from the Wuji sect, XING Xuan from the Haiten Sect, Bai Yunfei from the Qingshan Sect, Zhuohuiyu from the Luoxia Sect, and Duan Yin from the Fengxing Sect. They have all arrived. Goodness, these are the leaders of the 7 sacred sects. All at the 4th level of martial sovereign, their youthful prowess is truly awe-inspiring. Among them, I hold the highest regard for XING Xuan. Not only is she beautiful, but her strength is formidable as well, and she is the eldest sister of the Haiten Sect. Quite admirable indeed. By the way, who is the representative of the Daoyi Sect? I don't recognize him. TSK, at the 9th level of martial king. He pales in comparison to the other sacred sects. Indeed, it seems the Daoyi Sect has fallen into decline. Perhaps in 100 years, only the 7 sacred sects will remain. The Daoyi Sect was led by Yi Xian, accompanied by Jiang Feng, Fang Qian, Fang Huai, Li Youji, Meng Zhe, and others, totaling 17 individuals. All had entered the Tofu pool, each reaching at least the 3rd level of martial sovereign, though they outwardly emanated the aura of an 8th or 9th level martial king. Notably, Jiang Feng had adjusted his cultivation to the 7th level of martial king, making him the weakest in the group, and at that moment, he held a red brick. Gazing around curiously, where could Master and the others be? Jiang Feng murmured softly. Let us proceed, Yi Xian reminded him, and then stepped forward into the Lingshu secret realm. For this exploration of the secret realm, Yi Xian and his companions had made ample preparations. Aside from Jiang Feng, who possessed talismans gifted by Chu Fan, the others had obtained protective charms and escape talismans from Li Youji and Meng Zhe, acquired from the Peak Master of Tianju Peak. In total, there were 16 individuals, each receiving 100 talismans. Furthermore, Fang Qian, a prodigy in alchemy, distributed her concocted pills among the group and procured higher-grade pills from Qi Xiyun to guard against unforeseen circumstances. Before embarking on their journey, each disciple of the Daoyi Sect received generous assistance from their masters, who equipped them with an array of life-preserving tools, including armor, concealed weapons, and poisons, rendering them thoroughly armed. In contrast, the disciples of other sacred sects appeared rather meager, possessing merely a few protective talismans, a couple of pieces of armor, and perhaps a high-grade spirit weapon. Meanwhile, an unremarkable young man stood amidst the crowd, flanked by 2 inconspicuous women. Once inside, you may act independently. Should you encounter anything insurmountable, remember to call for help. Chu Fan earnestly instructed Qing Shui and Ling Qingxian. Although the Spirit Ruin's secret realm had been opened by the ancestors, who assured that a single saint-level expert had perished within, thus posing no significant danger, Chu Fan remained cautious. After all, this secret realm was discovered by the ancestors 3 millennia ago, and had it not been for the mention of the realm by Guan Tianyue, he might have nearly forgotten about it. Furthermore, the system's invitation for him to enter the secret realm to recruit disciples indicated the presence of other inhabitants within. Understood, Master. Shall we proceed? Qing Shui replied. Let us go. As disciples from the 8 great sacred sects entered the Spirit Ruin's secret realm, other sects, families, and wandering cultivators swiftly followed suit. Within a mere quarter of an hour, over 100,000 individuals had entered the realm, representing only a fraction of the total numbers. As many more were still en route. Inside the Spirit Ruins, gazing upon the vast expanse of forest, Chu Fan could not help but pause in admiration, inhaling deeply. The air was fresh, imbued with a subtle floral fragrance. This was a place untouched by human feet, steeped in the essence of nature, with verdant trees and birds soaring overhead, painting a picture of vibrant life. However, after today, the Spirit Ruins would undergo a monumental transformation. The Spirit Ruins were vast, seemingly boundless. Even with millions of souls present, it did not feel crowded. Master, we shall take our leave. Qing Shui and Ling Qingxian bid farewell to Chu Fan before venturing off in different directions to explore. Chu Fan had entrusted them with the task of enhancing their combat experience. Treasures and opportunities were of little concern. What use were external fortunes when he could provide them with far greater ones? Thus, the paramount focus was on broadening their horizons and honing their combat skills. Chu Fan did not forget his own purpose for entering. Once the girls departed, he began to seek assistance from the system. System, do you have any hints regarding the disciples to be collected? None. Please explore independently. The appearance of disciples will naturally trigger a notification. The system responded with a chuckle. Reluctantly, Chu Fan resolved to explore the realm on his own. A month would suffice to thoroughly traverse the Spirit Ruins. However, on the 3rd day of the secret realm's activation, after nearly all sects, families, and wandering cultivators had entered, the realm began to change. To the astonishment of countless onlookers, the secret realm began to shift. Yes, it fractured, dividing into 3 substantial sections, 2 of which ascended skyward, suspended in midair. As all individuals were transported to the first layer, gazing upward, the spirit realm manifested into 3 distinct segments. Shortly thereafter, a colossal black tower, a resplendent golden bell, and a magnificent luminous tree descended upon these segments. The black tower, exuding an aura of cataclysmic power, loomed over the lowest layer of the realm, while the golden bell occupied the second layer, and the radiant tree graced the third. As the black tower touched the ground, its formidable energy gradually dissipated, and simultaneously, the second and third layers became enshrouded in swirling clouds, appearing ethereal and elusive. The spirit realm had been activated for a duration of 6 months, during which time the testing remained incomplete, prohibiting anyone from exiting the domain. A dispassionate, ethereal voice resonated through the air, causing all to widen their eyes and quicken their heartbeats. The spirit realm had undergone an unexpected transformation, a development unforeseen by any. However, the occurrences within the spirit realm remained unknown to the outside world, which continued to perceive it merely as a routine exploratory endeavor. Chapter 30. The Legacy of the Azure Emperor. The Emperor's Tower, comprising a total of 100 levels, offered various legacies at each tier, with the 100th level housing the legacy of the Azure Emperor. Within the spirit realm, the ethereal voice echoed across every inch of land, and all present heard its proclamation. The legacy of the Emperor? Quickly, a fortuitous opportunity has arisen. The disciples, engaged in exploration throughout the spirit realm, hastened towards the direction of the Emperor's Tower. Simultaneously, in the outside world, a long, dark stone tablet unexpectedly appeared above the entrance to the spirit realm, enveloped in azure spiritual energy, bearing only the words ranking of the Azure Emperor's Legacy Tower. The most striking feature, of course, were the 4 characters representing the Azure Emperor. While others remained oblivious, the leaders of the 8 great sacred sects were acutely aware of the significance. The Azure Emperor was an ancient powerhouse, comparable to the foremost human emperor, the Chaos Emperor. Historical records indicate that the Azure Emperor was the second individual to ascend to the Emperor realm following the Chaos Emperor. In later generations, those who achieved the 9th level of the Emperor realm were referred to as Heavenly Emperors. Thus the Azure Emperor was also known as the Azure Heavenly Emperor. "This is the legacy of the Azure Heavenly Emperor," exclaimed Li Bin, prompting a shared realization among the others. The legacy of the Azure Heavenly Emperor, reputed to master the principles of yin and yang, where their convergence rendered all into nothingness. The master of the Wujizong, Wu Qi, trembled with excitement. Meanwhile, Lian Qi, the master of the Qingshan sect, was equally astounded. He turned to the seemingly dazed Guan Tianyue, contemplating the implications of the black and white pieces depicted on the earlier diagram, which hinted at the profound nature of yin and yang. The ambitions of the Daoyi sect were evidently deep, and it was fortunate that they had discovered this in time. Amongst all present, Guan Tianyue was perhaps the most shocked, rendered nearly speechless. He pondered incessantly. Was it not said that only legacies of the Saint King realm existed? How could the legacy of the Azure Heavenly Emperor emerge? In the next moment, he hastily retrieved a communication token, seeking a secluded spot to report the situation to the esteemed Ancestor Chi Fu of the Daoyi sect. "Ancestor, what is happening? How has it transformed into the legacy of the Azure Heavenly Emperor?" Guan Tianyue inquired urgently, his hands trembling. The legacy of the Heavenly Emperor. Should the Daoyi sect not disclose the existence of this spirit realm, they could secretly claim the legacy for themselves. Now, they faced an immense loss. How could I possibly know? When I was investigating, it was merely an ordinary secret realm. Who would have anticipated such an anomaly? Well, since this has transpired, let the disciples strive earnestly. Accepting the situation is vital. A voice filled with indifference came from the token. Guan Tianyue had no choice but to terminate the communication, refraining from disturbing the elders further. He took a deep breath, suppressing his agitated heart. Indeed, what good is haste now? I have heard that my disciple, Chu Fan, has also entered the Lingshu secret realm, and the legacy of the Heavenly Emperor is likely to belong to our Daoyi sect. Upon Guan Tianyue's return, he overheard Li Bin and others engaged in discussion. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that, unbeknownst to them, the entrance to the Lingshu secret realm had already closed, rendering entry and exit impossible. Even the stone tablet above could not be touched, leaving them merely to observe. Everyone was astute enough to deduce that a contest for the legacy was underway within the secret realm, and perhaps becoming the first would grant one the inheritance of the Qingxian Heavenly Emperor. As word spread, those waiting outside grew restless, rife with speculation. They began to conjecture who might seize the Heavenly Emperor's legacy. If you ask me, the disciples of the 8 great sacred sects are most likely to obtain it. Isn't that obvious? Personally, I believe that Shang Ku of the Xiantian sect stands the best chance of acquiring the Heavenly Emperor's legacy. I support XING Xuan. She is the most suitable candidate for the Heavenly Emperor's inheritance. shouted a devoted fan of XING Xuan. Inside the Lingshu secret realm, upon hearing of the Emperor's legacy, Chu Fan felt a spark of interest, though he merely regarded it with curiosity and did not feel compelled to claim the inheritance. What of the Emperor? Once the path to heaven opens in this era, he is confident he can surpass the Emperor directly. Even the Heavenly Emperor would be incomparable to him. His primary objective now is to find a disciple, and if time permits thereafter, he might attempt the Emperor's tower. Chu Fan understood that at least 190,000 individuals had entered the Lingshu secret realm, yet very few possessed the potential to become emperors. Among those he observed, only Qing Shui, Jiang Feng, Ling Qinxian, and Yi Xian seemed promising, while the likes of Shang Ku from the 7 great sacred sects, Wu Liang, and Xing Xuan still fell short. On par with Feng Qian and Feng Huai, at best, they might reach the 9th level of the Saint Emperor realm. Aspiring to the Emperor realm without extraordinary fortune is nothing but a dream. Furthermore, the Emperor's legacy tower comprises 100 levels, and not everyone can ascend to the peak. Perhaps among the tens of thousands present, 90% might not even reach the 60th level. Thus, the priority remains in finding a disciple. Consequently, while everyone else hurried towards the Emperor's legacy tower, only Chu Fan continued to wander about. At times, he spoke peculiar words to a grand tree. At others, he lifted immense stones in search of something. The system offered no hints. When would he discover what he sought? Frustrated by the lack of progress, Chu Fan lamented. Ding. Please do not be discouraged, host. The target is on this level. With patience, you shall surely find it. The system provided Chu Fan with a comforting dose of encouragement. A day later, a considerable number of individuals began to enter the tower of the Emperor's legacy. Many were unaware of the significance of the name Qing Xian the Great, yet the title of Emperor alone was enough to incite fervor among them. The prospect of obtaining the Emperor's legacy ignited dreams. Perhaps the next Emperor could be one of them. With this thought in mind, numerous aspirants eagerly ventured into the tower to face its trials. 3 days later, when a disciple halted at the 51st level, a luminous glow emanated from the stone tablet outside, revealing a name. Zhang Quan, Daoyi Sect, Tower of the Emperor's Legacy, 55th level, rewarded with a mid-tier celestial technique. The news of Zhang Quan reaching the 55th level sent waves of excitement through the elders of the Daoyi Sect. His place on the leaderboard indicated both remarkable strength and talent, along with the acquisition of a mid-tier celestial technique. The Daoyi Sect was undoubtedly on the rise. The members of the Daoyi Sect rejoiced in their triumph. Shortly thereafter, another name appeared on the stone tablet. He Huan, Tianshan Sect, Tower of the Emperor's Legacy, 56th level, rewarded with a mid-tier celestial technique. Cheers erupted from the direction of the Tianshan Sect as well. As names continued to materialize on the stone tablet, it became evident that disciples from various factions were fiercely competing, each vying to emerge victorious and claim the Emperor's legacy. 10 days later, the stone tablet was densely populated with names, predominantly representing the most elite sections. The strongest contender had successfully traversed the 75th level, earning a supreme grade holy technique. However, the names of disciples from the 8 great holy sects had yet to appear.